If you're looking for intellectual, informed basketball takes, and you want to bring in media that knows what they're talking about, look no further than
never early, never late, but we always push the pace, yeah. And we really study tape, y'all just view the highlights, man, we really watching games, yeah. You just watch from the stands, we run 3-man weeks, Paul, Trey, and Allen, yeah. Way more than a fan, we got love for the game, we don't have to pretend. Got it out the mud like you get it off the glass. I'm the run the fast break, throw me the outlet. Yeah, we got it out the mud like you get it off the glass. Time to run the fast break, throw me the outlet. We on the break, it's fast break. We on the break, it's fast break. Let's go.
Certified hater.
Top of the morning to you all out there. I hope that all of you are well.
You actually mean that?
I hope that you are well rested. I hope you've said your prayers to your creator. I wish there was some better weather so y'all could get some sun. All those out there who are struggling, I'm telling you to hang in there. It gets better.
Oh my god.
There are people that love you.
Oh my god. No. I'm done. I'm not taking this from a guy whose team is in Cancun. I don't want to hear nothing from you. I
can't express concern for our fan base's mental health.
No, because that's not what's going on here. Okay, this is hate. This is hatred. Fastbreaks family, you know better than this. Don't accept fake hate. Okay. All right, don't accept that. You're better than that. Let me tell you something. We
fight the darkness. Fight the darkness.
We listen to me.
There's a lot of people out there battling demons this morning. Okay, I'm just trying to provide. I'm trying to provide an uplifting word.
All right. Well, I prayed the blood of Jesus over them, and the Knicks. We got 4 games left. 4 straight wins coming. Don't worry. Don't you worry.
You know what it is. You know who we are. You know what we do. This is Fast Breaks crew. The FBP boys back in effect. I go by the name Ro, the hostess with the mostest, and you damn sure notice. To my right is Andre Kingdre. You know what it is. Up above me is Coach Paul, PRR Sports 1995. And to his right is the architect, Morpheus, the professional, Alan, the man with the plan. We go by an ensemble, often referred to by the moniker Fast Breaks. Can I get a rebound kindly? Outlet.
Also, Alan, I'm sorry. I keep forgetting to get you those Morpheus glasses. One day, I'm going to get it. I promise.
Maybe for our 100th. Today is officially episode 90 of Fast Breaks. We are coming up on 100 episodes. Y'all that have been riding us from the beginning. We got something special planned for you. For somebody that just joined, we got something special planned for you. It's going up, okay? Consistency, hard work, dedication, faith, effort.
I completely timed out. I don't know what you just said for the last 10
seconds. Worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
We're going to jump into it, folks. It's the conference finals. We're 2 games deep in both series. I like to go 1 and 2. Y'all can hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you now. Yeah, you good.
It sounds like it's coming through the computer mic. I don't know.
That's better.
Use the correct microphone.
My fault. Let me get that rebound again. Since they didn't hear me properly. Let me get that rebound one more time.
All right, hold on.
Outlet! Better?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's just jump into it. Let's go 1 and 2 in each series straight through, straight basketball breakdown. Let's start out in the West. OKC Timberwolves game 1. OKC takes that game by 15 points at home. But I'm gonna be specific. Alan, what do you see for the Thunder that is working? What is some of the keys to the Thunder's success against the Timberwolves in this series?
The biggest key in broadly terms, the defense. Obviously, they're so good at getting turnovers, getting easy buckets. But more specifically, I think it's swarming Ant. You know what I mean? I feel like throughout the regular season, Anthony Edwards' biggest thing has been like his threes off the dribble and getting into the paint. They found a way to shut off his water, and it's kind of messing up the Timberwolves' flow and offense, and it's hurting them a lot. Um, Julius Randle's not getting the ball in the right proper places to score, and it's really hot on their offense. They play really well up until like that third quarter, mid third quarter, and that's when the defense really turns up, and it's over for them, man. So the Thunder got the best defense in the league by far, and I don't see what the Timberwolves are gonna do. They try to do a couple things in game 2, and I don't know if we're gonna like talk about them at one time. But like they tried to fix a couple things in game 2, but it still didn't work out for them. Yeah, that's the biggest thing for me. I saw shutting Ant's water off.
Paul, what are the specific things you see the Timberwolves struggling with outside of what Alan said? Obviously, the the Timberwolves. The Thunder are doing a great job shutting Ant's water off. What else are the Timberwolves struggling to do? Maybe on defense. Why can't they hold the Thunder down?
Because Shai is better than Ant. Next question.
Great segue. I'm gonna pass that to Andre now. Andre, what are we learning about Shai in this conference finals? His first.
we might have to have some conversations in the next couple of weeks about who is being considered face of the league. I hate to bring it back.
You know where we stand, Dre. We've been saying this since February.
But the thing is, Ant is not ready. He's still 23. And Shai is very much ready. And he's demonstrating that. And I think, and I also just want to touch base on one other thing, because I've seen some conjecture about it over the last week and conversation on Instagram and whatnot, going back and forth. And he's proving that, especially in these playoffs, this whole foul merchant, foul baiting, all that, there are some calls he's getting that maybe he shouldn't get. But for the most part, he's shown a mastery and a level of discipline in terms of going to the hoop in a consistent basis and manipulating the rules to get these favorable calls, which is a skill that is not really enforced in today's game. And it kind of setting him apart, because you see a lot of guys that are just run and dunk. They don't really have a lot of thought behind it. Or you see a lot of guys that are just, I'm going to take shots. I'm going to be, spot up shooter or whatever. But the way he draws attention and brings that gravity to the paint in such a way that he can really get people in a lot of trouble. It honestly puts the Timberwolves in a lot of trouble, because you can't really, you have to worry about getting those fouls early on. So the way you play him has to be softer. The way you play him has to be more hands off. Otherwise, you're going to get a foul. And even if you're completely hands off, he has a way of manipulating you into jumping into him, into messing up, into slipping up. So that's one of the reasons the defense can never really reset, because you have a guy that's so prolific, that's legitimately averaging 30 to 35 points a game, just going in to get you in trouble. And he does it so successfully. So a lot of the ways of the Timberwolves defense, the only thing they have left to do really at that point is hope to God he kicks out to a shooter and guard the shooters. But that's really their whole defensive scheme right now, and it's not an effective one. There's no defensive scheme we've seen that can contain a player that is that intelligent at drawing fouls and getting to the rim whenever he wants to.
Yeah, I agree. I want to add on the Timberwolves side, I think in game 1, because we're specifically talking about game 1 right now, I think all those habits that I was talking about 2 series ago with the Timberwolves are rearing their ugly head. We talked about Ant going through his process and learning how to, be a facilitator on the floor and get his teammates going. I think he approached game 1 with that mindset. But again, I think the Timberwolves have a lot of America fooled with how good of a shooting team they are, right? Because I think Ant approached that game putting faith in the shooters. I think he knew that he was going to get doubled and that they were going to be in help, and he only shot 13 times. There's no world where Dante DiVincenzo should be shooting 12 threes in a game, 3 of 12. Nikhil Alexander-Walker, 2 of 9 from 3. Mike Conley, 1 of 5. Naz Reid, 0 of 7. You know what I'm saying? Now, Julius Randle had a good night from 3, 5 of 6, 9 of 13. We'll talk about what happened with him later in game 2. But other than that, I mean, they were out there and was just giving it up, and guys were just pulling it. I didn't really see a lot of productive offense. I didn't see them putting the Thunder into rotation. And that's a pretty easy system to guard unless you have a team full of lasers, which I think the Timberwolves have often convinced themselves that they are. But I've always said that the lights get bright, and on the highest stages, I don't believe it. It's kind of similar to the Mavericks last year, where those role guys, those guys that weren't the greatest floor spacers, you know, we talked about like, okay, they're doing well enough. They've gotten to the finals. But I said on the final stage, I don't trust any of those guys. Derrick Jones Jr., the kid from Australia, what's his name? Dante Exum. Like, I didn't trust any of those. Jaden McHardy. I didn't trust any of those guys on the biggest stage to truly be.
You didn't trust PJ Washington?
I didn't put him on this list. I did trust him. I didn't put him on this list. But a lot of their other role players, including in their starting lineup, I didn't trust those guys to be real threats on the biggest stage, sufficient enough to provide spacing. And I think that's what we're seeing here now is that I don't think these guys, you know, they've had favorable matchups with their size. They're not bigger than the Thunder, right? So they can't bully the Thunder.
Right.
And when it comes down to actual execution of offense, I don't think they have enough threats around the floor for Ant to really get off, or they haven't figured out how to truly attack different spots on the floor, right? They have somewhat of a system, but they still do kind of play random basketball where it's all predicated off Ant's penetration. And the Thunder are a good enough defensive team to dictate that penetration and choose who they want to shoot. And if these guys are off, that's all she wrote. And that's what I saw in game 1. Reactions to those thoughts, Alan?
I agree with you for the most part. I think it's not also so much that they're just shook at the moment, which I think they that's a little bit of it. But I also think the Thunder are so good at closing out on threes specifically. It's really impressive. So it's like the guys getting open looks, but they're not open for too long. And some of them not even open like that. I do agree DiVincenzo gets wide open looks, and he's been missing a lot. But other than that, everyone else who's not the greatest three-point shooter, they're getting closed out on very quickly by, you know, Caruso, by Carson. I forgot his last name, or if that is his last name.
I think that is his last name.
Yeah.
Oh no, Carson Wallace.
Yes, Carson Wallace.
Kaysen Wallace.
Yes, Kaysen Wallace. All those guys are really good at closing out quick. So you're not wrong at they're shook, but I gotta give credit where credit is due. I think that defense is stifling and amazing.
Let me go back on that, and then I want your take on what I'm about to say. When I say the lights get bright, I know that's typically said with connotations of guys being nervous, but that's not always what I mean when I say it. What I just mean is that as the later rounds go on, the intensity rises, right? And basketball at different intensity levels is a different game, right? So being able to execute at those different intensity levels requires an elevated amount of skill. So I have no doubt, guys. I mean, listen, Dante has been a winner his whole life. Some of these guys, I don't think Jaden McDaniels is a shook kind of guy. I don't think Julius Randle is a shook kind of guy. We know Mike Conley isn't. Naz Reid isn't backing from any smoke. But I think when basketball reaches its highest level of intensity, and right now it's at its second highest level, right? The conference finals. When these best athletes in the world are playing at their maximum effort, it becomes a skill thing. And I think that's what you're talking about, right? Like, you're not going to get wide open shots too often in the Western Conference Finals. You're going to get a shot that's open for 2 seconds or for 1.5 seconds with a really good defender closing out on you. It's an elevated level of skill that allows you to make those shots under that kind of pressure. That's what I mean. I don't mean the pressure of the moment. I mean the pressure of the intensity of play.
Can I add something to that real quick?
When I just finish off, yeah. And so that's what I mean when I look at guys and their ability to make shots in the playoffs. I'm looking at the quality of the shot, and I'm looking at the level of intensity they're playing against, and I'm thinking about their skill level, and I'm like, okay, is he making that shot with a hand half in his face? And the answer for a lot of these teams, particularly when you get conference finals, is no, and that's often the difference, right? Like you can see the guys start to separate themselves on who's going to execute against high intensity, who's not. On Dre, quick, and then I want to hear Paul's point on that because Paul talks about clutchness a lot. And while this isn't like clutch, I think there is something to be said about like high level, high intensity basketball and who actually is a star and a productive role player and a starter level player at that level of basketball. Go ahead, Dre.
Well, so and this is important too, right? Because the lights are bright on the Thunder right now, and what is happening? You're seeing Shai take advantage of the moment, creating pressure on the inside, which also opens up the offense on the outside. He has the ability to hit those open shooters because they're so worried about him. You don't really see that on the Timberwolves side. Even though Ant's going in and get some layups, he's also taking a lot of open shots, and he's really seems to be the only one that's actively trying to put pressure on the inside. And I think you'll like this point. I think one of the biggest problems is they have a center that doesn't like to play big. He can get a lot of foul trouble on what's his name? Oh my god, why am I blanking on everybody right now? Yeah.
Gobert.
No. Gobert can put a lot of pressure on he was on the Knicks. On Hartenstein. Thank you. On Hartenstein and Chet. Because Chet's not stronger than Gobert, and Hartenstein, I love him, but he's not the greatest inside defender. So if they get in foul trouble early, that opens up everything. But that's not what's happening. They're being forced again for Ant to have to take contested layups and to take contested shots. That's why, and honestly, it's not necessarily why, but DiVincenzo shooting 12 threes, he should be getting 9 of 12 from there. I don't know what the hell's going on with him. But it still shows there's a lot of pressure on the perimeter because the Thunder are free to do that.
Right, and that speaks to the lack of skill level that I'm talking about, right? Like when you get to this high level of basketball where like it's not just about moving the ball and getting open shots, you have to have guys create offense. I'm not saying everyone needs to be a star and an ISO specialist, but a guy like DiVincenzo, that is what he's equipped to do. He's equipped to shoot standstill threes. And so in a game like this where the intensity's high and the ball is getting swung to him, that's his only option is to just pull it, right? When you look at the Thunder, all their guys, it's what I used to say about the Warriors, right? Remember when the Warriors were in their dynasty? What did Bob Myers always say was the blueprint to their roster construction? Basketball players, right? They rarely had rosters with specialists on it. They wanted everyone on the roster, everyone that got minutes in rotation to be able to play basketball. Because at the highest level of basketball, that's what's unguardable. When everyone is a threat to shoot, drive, and pass on the court, that is what puts a pressure on defense. When you have specialists and you just have to worry about a very specific scouting report for each player, when you're fine-tuned on that and you're a skilled defensively the Thunder, you can do that. And we're seeing guys like, and that's what I think happened in game one. Guys resorted to only what the defense would give them, and they weren't successful in that. Julius Randle going 5 or 6 was a bless, but I think when they go in the locker room, they go, okay, Julius Randle's 5 or 6. Do we think he's beating us from the 3-point line in this game? No, so we're fine with that. Right, but a lot of guys, I don't know, like Mike Conley in his older age, he's not as much of a penetrator as he used to be. He doesn't get in the paint and create much. Jaden McDaniels, his offensive talent has improved, but it's still raw, right? Julius Randle, we can load the box against him. Rudy Gobert, 0 offensive skill. He's not providing any threat outside of a lob. And if we cut off penetration with our foot speed, we don't have to worry about that. Naz Reid, there's no mismatches for him to take advantage of. He actually has to go against someone who's as quick and as tall as him. And we're seeing the struggle he's having there. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, again, not a super skilled player, more of a specialist, just a catch and shoot guy. I think we're seeing the difference there. Like these guys have some complementary talents to each other and to Ant, but they're not actually that skilled of a roster. And you're seeing the Thunder kind of outclass them when you go down. I mean, all these guys are complete basketball players. Jalen, Chet, Hartenstein's kind of a specialist, but I've even seen him really develop on this roster as a passer. You have to worry about his decision-making in the short roll. Lou Dort, Shai, Cason Wallace, Isaiah Joe, Alex Caruso. These are all guys that are threats to pass, drive, and shoot when you pass the ball. You cannot just worry about one thing they do when they have the ball and just cut that off. Alex Caruso can knock down a 3, or he might drive by you and have a dime. right? Or he might finish strong at the rim, and that goes for pretty much everyone on their
Everybody on
roster
the-
to varying
on the
degrees,
roster.
right? Like
Yeah.
Shai isn't the greatest 3-point shooter, and Casey Wallace isn't the greatest finisher, but they can do it, right? Everyone on their roster can play basketball to a complete level, and I think at the highest level of basketball, that is when the difference starts to show. Paul, we've been talking a lot on this point. Do you have any thoughts?
What you said about the open shots not being as open and things like that, I slightly disagree because that's what the Thunder are getting. And they're getting it because, and I started off by saying Shai is better than Anthony Edwards, and that's the issue. Shai is getting his guys wide open shots. This guy, Anthony Edwards, is not. And the reason he's not is because he's not getting in the mid-range and being a threat for the mid-range like Shai. Shai and Jalen Brunson are the two best mid-range guys in the league right now, in my opinion.
Without a doubt.
They are the
Without
two
a doubt.
best right now. I probably got to think about it. There's probably some more about there, but right now I could say based on the whole playoffs, Shai and Jalen Brunson.
I mean, you always got to, out of respect, throw KD in there.
Oh, yeah.
But KD's not in the playoffs. KD's not.
I know. I'm just saying. Yeah, but he said in the league.
game.
So
yeah,
in the game today, you got to throw those legacy guys in there, right? Like you got to throw KD in there.
And when Jason Tatum's allowed to be Jason Tatum, he's also a threat.
When he's allowed to be Jason Tatum, yes.
That's on him.
Listen, Paul, we're gonna see it next season when Jalen
let him land.
Anymore.
Mm-hmm. Let him land. Go ahead, Paul.
And the foul baiting is disgusting, but it's disgusting. But
do you think it's foul baiting?
You said what?
Do you think it's actually foul baiting, or do you think it's what I said, where he's manipulating the refs?
Both. Hold on. It's the same thing.
Hold on. Let me just ask Paul a question. Paul, I'm not asking this to get in a back and forth with you. I just want to clarify your perspective because maybe your definition is more nuanced than I think it is. Do you think there's a difference in the way Shai strategically tries to get to the foul line and the way Brunson strategically tries to get to the foul line, as you have put them as the two best mid-range guys? I think as guards, they're the two best at getting to the foul line as well, outside of Luka, if you want to call Luka a guard.
Yes.
Do you perceive a difference in the way they go about it?
Yeah, because I think Shai flops on the offensive end, whereas Jalen Brunson, he tries to get the contact, and if the contact's not there, then he'll try and make it, or he'll stop his dribble and then look for somebody to pass to. He does that a lot.
Do you think that's a size issue though, because that is what's available to him? Do you think that because Shai is 6'6", that he can use his body more instead of waiting for the contact, that he can create it and then settle it? Is that just a size issue, or do you think it's like a philosophical difference where Brunson is unwilling to demonstrate the foul?
I think it's a philosophical thing, but I don't think it's wrong.
But you called it disgusting.
It's disgusting to watch. I don't think it's wrong though.
You mean from an aesthetic standpoint?
Yeah.
Because this is an argument. There's a lot of people who have. I mean, there's the term that's been going around, sort of since the middle of the season, ethical hoops. There is a growing faction that truly believes that is that foul baiting is an immoral way to play basketball. So I thought you were commenting on that.
No, that's stupid. The only immoral
say more.
The only immoral way to play basketball is in a way that doesn't result in winning. Because a lot of people,
playing dirty.
You're hurting other people. Yeah, right. Well, that's been the case from the beginning of the game. But when it comes to outside of just hurting people, there is no people were saying that about the Warriors, that they played unethical basketball before that was a term. They were like, you can't win with your best player being a guard. You can't shoot.
I don't know if they called it unethical. I think they called it. I think they. But I don't even think that was the insinuation. I think they were insinuating it was unsustainable.
But that's what I'm saying, though.
Well, that was wrong.
But that's very different than immoral.
Yeah, but what are we talking about then at that point? You know what I mean?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. That's apparently there's a strong faction that believes even if it's productive and successful, it's sort of a whack, sort of without merit way to play.
I mean whack. Yes, but at the same time, it's if it's winning, what are you gonna say?
Right.
The only people you can be mad at that point is Adam Silver for allowing it to happen.
Well, that's where they go. That's the next tenet of the conversation is they go
Well,
that, they say their ultimate thesis is that, like, because of the rule changes that have been allowed and to favor offense, they think players that are otherwise actually not that good are able to put up superstar numbers and have superstar impact and productivity simply
right.
by manipulating these rules. And these guys are actually not skilled.
Which is where the online basketball community goes awry and looks
Talk to them.
crazy.
Talk to them,
Because
please.
if you don't foul Shai, he's going to make it.
Right.
He's foul baiting,
Right.
but if you don't foul him, he will make. And that's the difference between Shai and Ant. Kendrick Perkins said the next step for Ant is to draw fouls. He doesn't draw a lot of fouls.
Correct.
Right? He's kind of looking like Jason Tatum a little bit, where earlier in his career he had a more diverse bag or was displaying a more diverse bag, and now it's more threes and layups and dunks. Right now that's easier to guard as a team. That's why you see him shooting less shots, because all they're doing is they're what's the word? They're stunting at him. They're not even strong doubling him. They're just stunting at him. They're making
just sitting in help.
hesitate.
They're sitting in help. Yeah.
They're setting help. Like,
which requires you to take pull-ups, right? If you drive and you got a guy on your hip, but there's a man waiting in the paint, pull up. But if you don't do that, you're like, oh, I've already driven past my three, and now there's no layup. I guess I'm kicking it now.
Right. And he's not pulling up, and he's passing the ball. And honestly, these guys have good looks, but like, it might be a pressure thing. It might just be the fact that the Thunder are just better as a team, like role player wise. They're hitting their shots, and Timberwolves are not.
I think that's undeniable.
Yeah.
You said what?
I think that's undeniable. I think that's what's clearly being exhibited here.
Right. So right now, I think what Anthony Edwards has to do is say, forget everything that I was told, forget everything that the coach is telling me. I'm going to get 50. And
you gotta go get 50.
But I think that plays into the Thunder's. I think that plays into the Thunder's game plan as well. Because again, I don't think Ant can beat this team by himself, and they know that. And like either way, I mean,
his teammates, though.
we're gonna get to. I know, but that's what he's not going to win. I think that when you
can't think like that.
When you get, I don't know. I'm not talking about for his thinking. I'm just saying in terms of even if you said this is what he should do. I'm saying it doesn't matter. He could do that. They're not gonna win because the team is just simply not good enough, right? But Alan, before we get to end, I want to get back to that on game 2 because in game 2 I think he did switch his mentality and it still meant nothing. It still meant nothing. But Alan, to tie off this ethical hoops point, I want to highlight and amplify something Paul said about. Even if it's baiting, it's an exhibition of skill because he said if you don't foul Shai, he's going to make the shot. I don't like the foul bait narrative on a player that gets as many and ones as Shai. Right. Because to me, if you're getting a lot of foul, but you're getting a lot of and ones, that means to me, even the baiting move is a legitimate shot attempt. Right? He's not simply trying to rack up fouls on the other team and go to the free throw line and do his scoring from there. He's trying to add a foul onto what already was his offensive move and intent. He's trying to get a bucket. He just knows that if he does this move, he'll get the bucket and get a foul, which is primarily just getting the team in foul trouble while he gets his buckets, right? Like if you're just absolutely flopping, you're not actually shooting the ball. He's on all his foul bait attempts, you could say he's contorting his body and he's throwing himself backwards, but he's still actually attempting to shoot the ball.
Right. And yeah, I agree with you honestly. And I think what people like Paul said, they get awry, like the basketball community goes awry with the foul baiting and all that narrative. I think because they take one or two, there's been like one or two plays where he just look crazy doing it, where he like might flop onto the floor where he's barely been touched or whatever. And they'll take that and they'll just like go crazy with it and say he's foul baiting, he's doing this, and he's not playing basketball the right way. When in actuality, all he does is just initiate contact, and just like you said, he goes for the N1. I feel like most of the fouls that he gets, which still isn't even all that much, he goes to the line.
9. He averages 9 free throws a game.
Yeah. So it's not even that much. Most of his like attempts where he goes to the line, they're regular basketball plays. He just knows how to initiate contact. He knows how to get to the defender to swipe at him or like jump a little bit or do whatever it is. I feel like it's not unethical of him. People just want to take the one instance where he does go do something crazy and paint that whole narrative of him. But overall, man, he's just out there hooping, and there's not much anyone could do about it, and that's all there is to it.
Dre, I want to bring this to you for the last point on this. Hold on, Dre. Let me ask you a question on the last point on this. Why wasn't this foul bait narrative? You're gonna appreciate this question. Why wasn't this foul bait narrative applied to the players like Dwayne Wade, Kobe, Chris Paul, and KD in the 2000s with pump fakes and swing throughs?
That's a good point.
Like when we were in the pump fake era, Kobe would at least 4 times a game get you on a block, pump fake you 4 times until you jumped, lean into you, and get an and one, and it was called high IQ. And the people jumping
crazy though,
and the people jumping were called idiots. When Chris Paul and KD, same thing with Dwayne Wade, when Chris Paul and KD would do the sweep through and shoot, people would say it's bad defensive form. You can't be having your hand in the cookie jar. Right. So players' abilities to get fouls used to be attributed to offensive IQ and defensive mistakes. Why don't we look at these defenders with guys like Shai and Brunson and criticize their inability to keep their hands off guys, or their inability to slow their own momentum when a guy stops on a dime and be throwing their body into guys? Why is it the offensive player's fault for recognizing and using these defenders' bodies against them?
Right. So that's where I started off when I said it's not foul baiting. It's high level, intelligent basketball. And Jalen Brunson and Shai do it better than anybody else in the league. And the reason why this narrative is going around is because since Adam Silver took over as commissioner, we have seen a pull towards, and we saw it in the All-Star game or the mini tournament, whatever it's called. We saw it All-Star weekend too. There's a pull towards marketing to casuals that were not there in the 2000s and don't know what actually intelligent championship basketball looks like. When you're not LeBron James and you're not 6'9", 270, and you can't fly from the free throw line, you have to get smart about how you get your buckets. Sometimes you're 6 feet tall and you have a lot of gravity and you know how to get into the lane. But
a low center of gravity.
Say it again.
A low center of gravity.
A low center of gravity, and you got to figure out how to do it. This guy, Jalen Brunson, he won 2 chips doing it. He carried multiple teams doing it. This is how he gets his bucket. It's very intelligent. Same thing with
college.
Shai.
Be clear about what you're saying.
In college. I forgot. I'm sorry. Same thing with Shai. He's a guy, and who mentored Shai, by the way? Who taught him how to go win basketball games? A guy named Chris Paul. That's who. And that's how you learn. This is how.
Never called Chris Paul a foul baiter.
They never called him. You know why? And I always thought Chris Paul was one of the smartest basketball players I've ever seen.
And you were right. And you were correct.
And I am right. And I'm seeing a lot from Shai. So the reason why that narrative is coming out is because a lot of people don't know. They're used to this run and jump game. They're used to this. You got to take threes. You're used to the Jokic basketball where it's just facilitate, and Jokic isn't going to really have to be in these kind of positions because he's 6'10" and 290, right? But when you look at guys like Jalen Brunson and like Shai, who aren't necessarily physical specimens, but they're averaging between 30.
Shai, one thing, sorry, not to cut you off. I just wanted to challenge that point. In this, because my next question was going to be, what are we learning about Shai? Well, that was my first question. Mm-hmm. I think I'm actually learning and watching him this intently. I think he is more of a physical specimen than we give him credit for.
I think he's more like Kobe.
He's athletic and but he's not a vertical athlete.
Right.
But he is an horizontal athlete.
But I don't think that's a physical specimen. The reason why I say
regular humans can't move the way Shai moves, and I'm seeing that now.
That's true. When I say physical specimen,
Son is mad lanky.
I'm talking about freaks of nature. All right.
No, but I know
he is a freak of nature.
He's a freak of nature. It's not like Ant is a vertical guy. He gets higher than most humans. But Shai's body control and his ability to move side to side is equally as inhuman. He doesn't get as up as the premier athletes in the NBA, but the way he shifts horizontally, you don't see there's not a lot of people in the NBA that can do that, bro.
Because
that's a good point.
The reason why I say he's not a physical. While yes, amazing aesthetic to watch, amazing gift to have. I think it's something you learn. That's something Kobe learned.
No, you can't do. No, but Kobe was an athlete.
Kobe was an athlete.
He just also was vertical, but you're right. Kobe was a outstanding vertical and horizontal.
Right.
And I remember I said the only reason Shai wasn't like Kobe is because he was a crazy athlete. I'm taking that back. He is an insane horizontal athlete. Some of his and ones, when you look at the direction he's heading to initiate the contact, the way he initiates the contact and then shifts the direction of his momentum so that he's completely open for the jumper.
Yeah,
like he's leaning in right, driving with his left hand, hits the contact.
You're right.
Where he is on the court when he's actually shooting the shot, the level of space that is between him and the person he just created contact with is freak level athleticism.
I'm only remembering this. I'm only remembering this now because of this conversation. But I do remember in the middle of the season, like a feature piece came out about Shai, about like these really unorthodox workout he does in the offseason and during the season.
That's where I'm going with that. He works on this is something he's learned and adapted. Like
no, but you have to train your athleticism.
You
like
train
guys,
your gifts.
Guys train dunking, right? They don't just walk into the court and become an amazing dunker. You have there's a bunch of guys that can jump really high in the world. They can't all be dunkers like Ant. So even if you're training it, I still think there is something to say when it stems from an intrinsic gift and not skill.
Yeah.
His ability to move horizontally is trained, but it's a trained physical gift. I don't think you can train as much as you want. If you can't do that with your body, you're not going to be able to do that. Plain and simple. Alan, finish your point though.
That was my point. I think I agree with you. I think it's a gift, but he does work on it, and it's only now I'm remembering that. But he's mad lanky, like Paul said, but he has his innate ability to create like space for himself by controlling his body and like moving in a very unorthodox way. And I think that's special. And it does help him with the fouls. So it's not really like unethical foul baiting. It's him using the gift.
That's what I mean. That's where I was going. I've attributed that more towards intelligence than physicality, honestly.
It's intelligent to attack it, but the ability to execute it is athleticism. You can know that's what you want to do and still be unable of doing it, right? Like there's a lot of guys who I think try to play that style, but they don't have the gifts to do it, right? Like I would like Devin Booker. I think Devin Booker is an incredibly high IQ guy in his class, right? But one of the things we learned about him in the finals is that he is limited offensively. And when you put a Drew Holiday type on him, his ability to create a shot was limited, right? Because he athletically was not gifted enough to execute certain facets of his game on an athlete. We learned that about Devin, right? I used to feel the same way about Shai. I'm seeing the difference. At 6'6", with his strength and his shift of balance athleticism, his horizontal movement athleticism, he does these moves and is able to execute them over athletes with size and length because his ability to create separation with his body in air, right? Not on the ground. I'm not talking about dribble separation. His ability to create separation in air is uncanny. I mean, think about, and let's do this to shift the game too. That and one, when he had that left hand off the backboard, he was driving to his left. The ball was in his left hand. He bumped with right shoulder and then faded literally sideways to the right and then shot it with his left hand and landed perfectly still. Do you understand what I'm describing? Like, like it doesn't matter where the contact happens for him in air or on the ground. He can determine his body positioning in air and then lands on balance outside of the times that he falls down. That's athleticism, bro. It's kind of like Kyrie. Like we call Kyrie the greatest under the basket athlete we've ever seen. Like his ability to contort, like that's not skill. Like I can train all day and I'll never be able to contort my body in the air the way Kyrie does. Shai has that at 6'6". His in-air contortion of his body, like you're born with that. You have to unlock it. But you can't teach a guy to contort his body in the air. Remember Derrick Rose? Like Derrick Rose, we talked about his ups a lot, right? But the most
game too.
Yeah, the most signature thing about Derrick Rose was like the way he could slide by bodies while in air and find the angle to lay it up. That's athleticism, bro. Like,
now I guess you're right. I guess When you talk about it that way, then yeah, I guess he is a physical specimen. Usually, when I talk about physical specimens, I'm thinking like the Zion types.
Size, strength, vertical. Yes, we know that
yeah,
because that's what they tested the combine. But the thing is, they test vertical at the combine too, and it just doesn't make headlines. But Shai had impressive combine numbers. That was one of the things they talked about when he was drafted. Is like, no, it wasn't on the vertical, and it wasn't necessarily on the speed. But they said his quickness and his lateral were standouts. And his length, his quickness, his lateral, and his length were standout combine measurements.
Listen, I think Shai, the way he plays the game, maybe it looks disgusting again because we're not used to it. We're used to a more aesthetic ball, especially over the last, I'd say since 2012. We're used to this LeBron-esque type of play, right? Where LeBron doesn't do that. So that's become like the LeBron versus
it's the bully. Yeah, it's the
big
bullies and the finesse guys.
Versus all of the Steph Curry also, which is
Steph KD guys.
Right.
Get to a spot, raise up, shoot, clean.
But the new generation, in the basketball, especially in the IG basketball community, right? That didn't see Kobe and Wade, and they only know Michael Jordan from the sneakers, right? They're not used to this game. So it's bringing back a lot of old head culture that's making us excited.
It's beautiful to me. I don't know about it's not ugly.
I
to
like
me.
it.
When some of the pull-ups he's hitting, some of the footwork, and like when he gets to a bump and then 1-2 rise up, or the classic, you don't see this anymore. Chris Paul used to do this a lot. The throw out dribble, hold the ball in the air, gather your feet, pull it. Like, yo, that stuff is gorgeous to me. Like,
I'm not gonna lie. I saw a video earlier this week, and it's like, here's how you know if a guy is dangerous. If he can pull up his dribble from anywhere, if he can do the blow up dribble, if he can land on 2 feet at any point and just pull, he's going to embarrass you. And I'm like, wow, this is just a video about Shai and about Jalen Brunson.
Gorgeous. It's absolutely beautiful. It's an absolute beautiful exhibition of shot making, but not just like getting a shot off, but understanding how to attack from wherever you are on the floor. A lot of these guys have to get to certain areas, and not that Shai doesn't have his spots, but his ability to read the defense and read the floor. He's dangerous from anywhere, and he's dangerous at any moment, right? Like you cannot time him, right? And if you lock in, you can time him. You know that when he's dancing, it's for a step back 3, and when he's shifting you side to side, it's to try to get around. It's to try to get around you, right? Shai can be in an absolute standstill, looking like he's surveying, hit you with one hard tween, and you drop all it back for the drive, and he took one dribble, and he's pulling up in your like. You can't time him. You can't sequence him. He understands that from wherever he is or whatever sequence he's in his offensive attack, how to turn that into a viable shot.
It's also a lot of balance too. And
that's what I was saying. Yeah,
that goes more towards Jalen Brunson. Where the horizontal, they both have that horizontal game, but Jalen Brunson, and we saw it there was that crazy play he had against the Celtics where him and Drew Holiday completely off balance, but he gathered his feet again, got the reverse layup. And that's something you see from him often because I don't want to say bad reffing and all that, but he gets hit a lot. And he doesn't always get those calls, but he gets hit a lot, and he still goes to the continuation. And
I have a theory about that, though. I have a theory that I think refs, they have sometimes a balanced perspective where they're like, if we're gonna call every time there's contact, then we would have to be honest about who's in the wrong on that contact. And I think when they look at offensive players that initiate a lot of contact, they're like probably 30 to 45% of that time that you do that, one could say it's an offensive foul. But if we just let a certain percentage of contact go, then we're gonna in some instances where maybe the defense's contact is inhibiting you, probably an equal amount of times we're letting you exert contact to get open or to get a guy off you, where someone could argue it's offensive foul.
It's time for AI refs.
Because I think Jalen Brunson does that a lot. I think Jalen Brunson and Shai too. Like Jalen Brunson and Shai do a lot of shoulder bumps that absolutely discard their defender, and we don't call that offensive fouls because we're like he should be allowed to do that.
Yeah,
I think if you're a ref, I think
What
if
is
you're
that?
going to allow those guys, he's trying to say AI refs, but I just want to finish the point. I think if you're going to allow those guys to use contact to their advantage in some instances, then to be fair, you got to let the defense do the same on balance as well. Paul, you clearly have a lot to say on this point. You don't think that's fair?
I think when there's a foul, it should be called.
But what's a foul? If Jalen Brunson
Hey,
can
I
throw,
won't get it wrong. I'll tell you that much.
no, let's define it. So is it a foul when Jalen Brunson puts his elbow into someone's sternum for a step back? Is that a foul?
It's a foul if they call it, right?
But see what you're doing. That's exactly what I'm saying, right? Exactly what I'm saying. I think if he got a lot more fouls that were going his way for free throws, but that also came with 2 to 3 more offensive foul calls, you wouldn't want that. Maybe he gets to the line 4 to 6 more times, but now he has 3 to 4 fouls every game. 3 of them being offensive. Would you prefer that?
Players would adjust. If
I
they
think
just call the calls the way that the rules book says.
Yeah, but I think a lot of guys complain about foul calls, but secretly are perfectly fine with the way the game's being called.
No.
It's gamesmanship. It's gamesmanship. The more I have a conversation with the ref about foul calls, maybe 1 or 2 more are going my way. But players don't want ticky-tack called games, right? Because as much as you're gonna say, "Hey, I got hit on that," when you hit a guy on the wrist and they call it, you're gonna be like, "Yo, let us play." So, you see what I'm saying? Alan, you have thoughts?
Yeah.
I agree with you because number one, they just can't call every single foul because
they can't call every contact. Like we can't.
Yeah,
we don't want a game where every time someone touches somebody, the whistle's getting blown. We don't want.
Yeah,
no one wants to
watch
that.
They can't call every contact. What a foul is supposed to be is when the defender is out of position.
Right.
So it's like not every contact even is a foul anyway. You know what I mean? And I agree with Pharaoh that if you start calling it one way, it's going to start leading to a bunch of offensive fouls, and the game is going to be even uglier then. So I don't even think it'd be worth it to do the AI thing because you kind of need that the human component to let you know that I don't necessarily need to call that. And also to a point it gets to a point where at the end of the game, sometimes you just don't want fouls to be the deciding factor of a game. You know what I mean? Sometimes you want to let the contact go if it's a physical game. As long as the players always say this, as long as it's consistent, within the game, I think
it's not.
You don't think it's consistent within the
I
game?
think
I'm not saying game to game consistent. I'm just saying
within
they let you play physical. Yeah, within the game. If they let you start playing physical from the first quarter, they do that all in the same game. The next game might be different because different refs, but I think for the most part,
within the game, I'm seeing a lot of shifts in philosophy that's throwing players off all over the place.
Well, that's always, I think, what happens with crews, right? Is sometimes the refs aren't on the same page. And so between halves, you'll see things differ because the low man ref is switching, right? So I think there are certain refs that have certain philosophies and there's certain other ones that don't. And depending on who's your low man in a half, that's how that half is going to go. That's just inevitable. I don't think the refs have a meeting before the game and say, here's how we're going to call fouls or whatever. I think each ref has their personal philosophy informed by the rule book, informed by referee association meetings and conferences and whatnot. And they call the game they want. I mean, when we hear mic'd up all the time, what do we see? Guys go up to a ref to talk and the ref will be like, talk to him. Talk to the guy that made the call. You know what I mean? So there's an inescapability of that from that perspective, Paul. That there's always going to be a diversity in calls in game just because it's 3 separate humans calling the game.
Yeah,
that's just always the. But here's what I think also in this playoffs, what we're seeing is I think refs are, which I like, refs are allowing responsive contact. So getting back to my point about players that initiate a lot of contact, one of the things when I'm playing ball that I always say, when I get called for a chicken bow on the waist when someone's driving, I'm saying, hey, if he's gonna off arm me, if he's gonna stiff arm me, then you gotta let me put my arm back. You can't let him just push me off and me not be able to respond with my own physicality. And most refs will say, okay, I'll watch his arm too. Because I'll say the same thing. Like when I'm driving and I get bumped and I don't get it, he'll say, yeah, but you're bumping him the whole way. So I'm going to let y'all two bump. I like that. If pause. But I like that, right? Like if an offensive player is initiating contact, as long as, to Alan's point, I'm in position, then allow me to respond to the contact.
Ethical physicality. Shout out to my boy Taylor. We were talking about that the other day, and he coined that term to me. Ethical physicality. That's exactly
right. And I think Brunson reacts a lot to feeling like, because technically in the rules, like freedom of movement, he feels like once the defender puts their hands on me, I should be getting a call. But I think if a defender's in legal position and you're bumping, you're pushing off, you're leaning in, if a defender in legal position sliding his puppies responds to that by putting his chest on you, or having that hand check, that little hand check to offset your swipe off, I think the refs are letting that go. Brunson, it's not like you're a finesse player where he's greatly like overpowering you. You're bumping, and he's in legal guarded position, bumping back. I'm gonna let that go, Jalen. I think there's a lot of that as well.
Agreed.
I think the difference with Shai is I think he's smart. He initiates bumps when the guy is out of position, when they're on their heels or they're on his hip, and he knows that in this position, any contact you make here is illegal.
Shai initiates contact when they're in legal and illegal, and he always gets the call. That's why people are like, it's foul baiting, but he's nice. So if you don't foul him, he will make it. He's an offensive flopper. This guy.
I'm not gonna.
He is. Oh, come on. No.
Was Kobe a flopper? Was Kobe a flopper with doing 27 pump fakes in one possession? It's the same thing. It is. It just looks different.
No. Look, like I said.
What's different about it though? Tell me what the difference is.
One, you're trying to make something look like a foul, and then the other one, you're trying. Like Kobe could pump fake all day.
Finish the sentence. One, you're trying to make something look like a foul, and the other, they
gotta actually foul you. That's what I was gonna say.
So if a defender jumps straight in the air and you jump into their body, they're fouling you.
Yes.
Straight up and down.
We're not gonna act like these guys are jumping on top of Kobe Bryant and Dwayne Wade. We're not going to act like these guys wouldn't pump fake 32 times and guys would jump vertical and they would jump into their bodies. Let's be real. Let's be honest.
No, okay, but the difference with that is that's on the referee to call it, though, right? The referee is making the mistake in saying, oh, he's going straight up and down. I mean, he's not going straight up and down. He's going at him. Whereas this guy, Shai, is literally contorting his body to make it look like he got hit crazy.
That's the same thing.
It's not the same.
Jumping into someone isn't contorting your body to make it look like you got hit.
No, it's not.
I'm saying the jumping.
Here's the difference.
The jumping into somebody that you're saying didn't happen as much as SGA literally just looking.
Stop.
It's a truth.
Actually, wait. I agree, but here's the fight. Wait. Let me because I want to wrap this convo up and because we really didn't even break down game 2. We want to keep this moving, but I think also what a lot of this is. I think there was a similar amount of foul, if you want to call foul baiting ethic in a lot of older players' style, but there's more possessions and more shots now, right? So if games were only scoring in the 80s and 90s, right, I think guys were only doing that maybe 2 to 3 times a game to get to the foul line. We're scoring in the 120s and 130s, right? There's more shot attempts in each game. So I think that just all the types of shots are just increased, right? There's more threes because we're shooting more. There's more dunks because we're shooting more. There's more of these kind of foul baity plays because we're shooting more. I don't think these guys are just have it in their style more than the old guys. They just do it more because there's more possessions.
I think there's
if you're doing, if we could probably break it down. If there was like 60 possessions in a game, and we said Kobe was doing a pump fake foul bait 10% of the possessions, which means it was only 6 times. I bet with Shai, it probably is also 10%, but now there's 80 possessions, so he's doing it 8 times.
This man is look. I agree with you. There's more of it because there's more possessions and it's a faster paced game, but at the same time, almost every time this man tries to score, he's looking like he got hit,
That's not
but
true.
he'll make it.
That's
It's
not
the
true.
truth.
I disagree.
He spams it a lot,
I disagree.
but it's smart. I'm not gonna call it unethical.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna call it unethical.
I didn't see a lot of that in game 2.
Disgusting.
I disagree. There was a good amount of it in
Game 1, I'll give it to you because, and this is I want us to move to game 2. Game 1, I'll give it to you because he wasn't having a good shooting game from the floor. I think he went to it to get production because he still had 31, but he was 10 to 27, and he got 14 free throws. I think when he's not shooting the ball well, he goes to that. I agree with you. Game 2, you cannot say that. Game 2, he was absolutely just getting buckets. That's a fact.
No. Like I said,
game 2.
But you got listen. I'm not speaking for the people online that are saying it's unethical.
No, I know, but I'm just if we're talking about what we watched in the game, I disagree with you. I want to talk about these games. Game 2, he was 12 of 21. He had 15 free throws, but he was getting buckets. He was getting but a lot of that was and one.
Pharaoh, you said getting buckets. You can't talk to me about him getting buckets because I think it's smart. And like I said, if you don't follow him, he's gonna make it. And the and ones too. He gets buckets almost every time.
No, but I'm responding to your point that he looks like he's getting hit on every shot.
He does look like
I disagree with that because it counteracts my balance point. I see him getting to a spot, rising up on balance, and banging a jumper a lot.
Even when he does that, he does something extra with his body to make it look like he got hit every time. That's why he does.
I think he's just lanky. You're just watching limbs. You're watching limbs. That's all.
Because there's also
the part of it, but he's definitely doing more with his limbs.
Hold on. There's also the face he makes a lot of times.
Oh, come on.
No, he looks
every
crazy.
damn time he's going to the.
That's why he gets made fun of. That's why they talk about unethical.
Y'all sound like the bots right now. No,
I don't. Because we're telling you, we're giving you intellectual break. This is what people come to this show for. Okay.
This is not intellectual breakdown.
This isn't intellectual breakdown.
Sound like the bots.
It's facts.
How does it sound like bots? We're not calling it foul baiting. We're telling you what he's doing, why he's doing it, and
we're analyzing the faces players are making on the court now.
Yes, because that's called part selling it to the refs.
Do you believe in verbal?
I started this by saying he manipulates the rules and he manipulates the refs, and that makes.
Do you think the refs actually are responsive to those faces?
Absolutely.
I think they're responsive.
Let's be real. When we talk about foul baiting, I think we have to put a little more respect in the refs. How much do you think A actually works?
A lot. And that goes back to
that you're showing novice. Stop it.
No, it's
Stop
not.
it.
No, it's
these
not.
These are perfect.
Chris, no. I'm not hearing this from you. Chris Paul used to sell shots like that all the time.
And you think it was the A that did it?
A lot of times, yeah.
No,
it was
no,
the
bro,
A,
no.
It was the filling of the arms, and
bro, no, bro.
I'm not hearing that.
No, bro.
I'm not
when you
hearing
listen
that.
to the mic'd up, and when you talk to refs at other levels, bro, the A's and the faces are selling something, but what it's selling is a contact, and the refs are looking at the contact. Right?
I don't think that's necessary.
No ref, if you go up to him and say, "Did I foul him?" Are they gonna say, "Well, clearly you did because he yelled real loud"? No ref is ever going to say that. No ref is ever going to say that, bro.
Because we're not just saying it's just. We're not saying it's just the A, but it's.
I'm saying the A is non-consequential. We've learned this in culture. We've learned this in basketball culture.
That's nonsense.
It's been 30 years of A, bro. Refs are not responding to A, bro.
A plus contact.
Paul, you agree that you think A gets the call too?
I think when, because you gotta understand, right? They're not just calling fouls out of nowhere. They're calling fouls when it looks like there's something going on. And if you verbally flop, if you go, "Oh my God," or "Hey, ref," all of that, it does affect.
No, I think it's the opposite. I think refs detest when you do that. I think you lose trust. You lose trust with refs what? If you and I've heard again with ref, if you spam your A's and all that too much, refs lose respect for you.
You gotta spam it too much, though. I agree with that. You gotta spam it too much.
I think they don't. I think you see that with Luka.
Yes.
Because he's the free throw line alive.
No, but he gets a lot of there's a lot of fouls that don't get called because he's overly verbal.
Yes,
and they
I
don't
agree with that.
don't respect it because he's absolutely overly verbal.
I
So
agree
this
with that.
idea that being verbal is actually helpful for you in getting foul calls, it's not true. Let's be real. If
No,
you're a
that's not
hooper,
true.
hold on,
that's
I'm
not
asking.
what we're
I want to ask
saying.
the
That's
fans.
not what we're saying. You're, and this is why I say you're being hyper. How can you literally listen to my whole point and then took the
No,
last part?
because what I'm talking about is you guys are focusing on the ancillary stuff. You're focusing on faces.
The ancillary. Listen.
And I'm saying none of that stuff actually matters when it comes to getting a foul.
I
It doesn't.
Listen,
so I am responding to what you're saying. Don't say I'm not
I didn't
responding.
say you're not responding. I said you're responding to the last point of it. I'm telling you totality, right? The totality of what I'm saying. Intelligence, body movement, control, getting the contact. But to be able to say, along with all that, when Shai goes A, on top of the fact that he's moving horizontally and he's getting knocked to the ground, it sells the call. And to say it doesn't is bullshit. It just doesn't make sense.
It's real, bro. That doesn't
make sense.
The selling of the call is purely physicality. Okay.
No, that's crazy.
No, bro. Y'all sound like y'all don't hoop, bro. Y'all sound super casual right now. Thinking A in the faces is actually getting you a call out here in these streets.
Hold on.
Physicality, yeah.
That is a fan's perspective and someone who's not actually played basketball, bro. If you think A and faces is really getting you a call in a basketball game, bro.
Pharaoh. Okay, first of all, I got two things to say. First of all, you're going to the extreme of spamming it. We're not saying if you spam it, it's going to work. I agree that, yes, if you spam it, it's probably going to work against you. I agree with that, number one. Andre didn't say that either, number one. Number two,
I disagree. I disagree. I accept that point. Thank you for that concession. But I'm saying, even principally, let me tell you why you're crazy about that. What I'm trying to say is it's not even worth analyzing. It's such a minuscule part of getting a foul call that for us to even spend time talking about it is I think irrational.
And let me tell you why that's crazy. Because as human beings, when you get hit, you make a sound anyway.
Correct.
So if you get hit, like I said, if you spam it, it doesn't. That's crazy.
But okay, that's a great point. Can I respond to that? Go ahead, finish.
Yeah, but if you get hit and you want to call in a specific moment and you make a sound, maybe it's not. Oh my God, that's why Cat doesn't get that because that sounds.
Because he sounds ridiculous.
Because there's not enough contact going along with it. He can't.
No.
Yes. Pause. And Paul, he just sunk you. Exactly, Paul. Exactly, Dre. And this is what I'm going to ask Alan.
He's wrong too.
Why is that wrong?
And that's what I asked Alan.
Why would you say that? That's wrong.
Alan,
why is it? What's wrong with what I'm saying?
You gotta get hit and say, "Oh my God, that sounds
wrong." Too many voices.
I was talking first.
Relax. This is terrible potting. Hold on.
Right.
Terrible potting. I want to go to Alan real quick to respond to what Dre just said.
I wasn't finished talking, but
I know, but I didn't cut you off. Dre did, and now I'm gonna be the host.
Let Paul land his point.
But we're gonna lose the point. Hold on, we're gonna lose the point. But Alan,
we're gonna lose the point you want to make.
Correct.
But Dre brought it up. I'm responding to a point
he interrupted me.
I know. Hold on. But I'm not gonna let you duck what he just said. That's the you want to move. You want to move past it. No, he said it.
You get hit and you say, "Oh my God."
He said it, and boom.
You break your leg and you say, "Oh my God."
Alan, this goes back to your point, right? Which we were saying earlier, which is not every contact is a foul.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. So, Paul, your point about if you get hit, you're gonna make a sound is correct. The reason why I said that is minuscule in terms of getting a foul is because it's not a foul every time you get hit. So the refs are you can signal that you're getting hit to the ref. The ref still has to determine whether that hit was a foul. And so that's what I'm saying. The faces and that all could be genuine, right? It could even not be misselling. You could genuinely have made a face. You could genuinely make a sound. That doesn't tell me that the contact was a foul. That's why I'm saying it doesn't matter.
But I do think in times where you need a makeup foul, you need a makeup call, or maybe they're calling it tight. I think those little sounds actually do amplify the impact. It amplifies the chance of you getting a foul call in a possession where it's contact and it might or might not be a foul. I do think it matters, and I think these refs might say, "Oh, that's not true," but they're liars too. They be betting too.
Hey,
you see this?
no, but honestly,
Yo.
that's why
These refs, you think these refs are just so more?
We're getting away from the game.
Allegations.
We're getting away from the game.
No, we're not, because we're getting away from your point. That's why you want to move. What I'm saying.
I'm allowing you to stand on your point and move on. You want me to debate you? I could go back and forth if you want.
We can go back and forth because
I don't want to. Let's move on. Get back to the game. Telling me like I'm doing my job.
To the cat point. This is where I'll leave off. Last thing I'm going to say. I was agreeing with Paul in the fact that it's just screaming out, "Oh my God, isn't going to get you the call," because he's not. It's not the totality of everything that Shai and Jalen.
That's not why he doesn't get the call when he says that. It's because it sounds ridiculous. That's why.
It does.
That's why you shouldn't have said that.
Not gonna lie. But it also sounds ridiculous because this might not be a foul.
No, it sounds ridiculous because you're not going to say, "Oh my God," when you get. That's too many syllables to say when you just.
That's
you're hurrying and you're going to say all of that. That sounds crazy.
But to Jalen and Shai's point, because they do know how to actually draw fouls, it does help the ref so that when they look and they're saying, "Oh my God, there's a real foul going on," so they're not getting as many missed calls.
To Nomad's point, yes. To Nomad's point, I just want to address that comment. Yes, he does, because if you really hoop, everyone that really hoops knows that it's just become a habit. When you're driving and you get hit, you're going to say A, even if there's not a ref in sight. So the fact that y'all think it's really this intentional thing, we just do that as hoopers. We just do that as hoopers, bro. It's just a part of hoop culture, bro. You drive. That's why we say and one. There's no ref. There's no free throws. It's pick up game to 11. Why are you saying and one? It's because it's just hoop culture, bro.
An and one. It's an and one, man. That's a foul.
Y'all sound like y'all don't hoop. All my hoopers out there in the comments, y'all know that, bro. We say that for us. We say A and all that and make faces for us. It gets us going, bro. We do not expect that stuff.
It starts when you're a kid. You do it when you're a kid because you're trying to get to the NBA subconsciously or consciously. And when you get to the NBA and you actually get hit, it helps you. That's really what's going on. And you will talk about who's not a hooper, who's not. Yo, that's the reason why we
I want to bring a ref on as a guest caller
we're gonna make it to the
NBA
pod someday, baby.
I want to bring on does anyone have any family connections? I want to bring on a high-level college ref to speak on whether that stuff actually matters at all. But anyway, any other takeaways from game 2? We already laid out what the Thunder is doing well and the Timberwolves are doing poorly. Did you see any difference in that in game 2, or was it sort of the same things going on?
I saw one more thing that the Timberwolves did poorly in game 2: the zone defense. Get that out of here.
The Thunder are too smart for that. They got Chet in the middle whenever they wanted for floaters. Nomad, please see if you could lock him in, because I've spoken to high level refs. I've spoken to college, high school refs, but they don't believe me. I want to bring someone on here and talk about whether A actually has what level of impact in getting a call does it have.
As long as you reference A along with everything else.
Thank you. We would say L1 to nobody, bro. Like it's just a thing that we do, bro. It's not actually doing anything, bro.
I feel like you're missing my point. I'm saying
I understand. No, you're missing mine. I understand you're talking about the totality. I'm saying when you segue to start talking about actually having a conversation about his face, I feel like that's gas. Like we should never even discuss faces and sounds. Why are we even talking about it?
I disagree with the sounds. The faces, I don't agree. The faces are inconsequential.
No, the faces were
sounds.
Faces were just funny.
The sounds, I definitely
works,
that was my only thing. If we're gonna talk about foul baiting and all that stuff, I do not want to talk about sounds and faces. Let's talk about body maneuvering, falling down, kicking legs. Like we could talk about that stuff. I'm not having a conversation about faces and sounds. Like, stop. That's all I was saying. Alan, continue. Anything else on game?
Yeah, you just had a conversation about defense.
Get the zone defense out of here from Minnesota. I had some else in my notes. They tried to do a post up with Randle, and it's kind of like the same thing you saw with the Nuggets. Like the ball just gets swiped out. Like the help defense comes and the ball gets swiped out when they're trying to do the entry pass, and it leads to mad points. And there's nothing you could do about it if you're the Timberwolves. And I don't know, man. I don't see no offense that the Minnesota could do that can beat the Timberwolves. They don't have like the prerequisite skills.
They don't have the players. Paul, I want to come to you with this question. What do you make of Yeah, what do you make of Randle getting benched after having the greatest playoffs of his life thus far and being the only one who was offensively productive in game one? How do you respond? What is your take on him getting benched in game two?
I mean, I don't think there's much to say about that. I think he wasn't having a good game too. And
You're a coach though, like in terms of coach-player relationship. I've been having the best run of my life, and I was the only one who had it going in game one. I have my first bad game in game two, and you sit me. Do you agree with it as a coach yourself?
if you have a valid substitute that fits what we need right now in this game, in this important pivotal game too, yes, because game three, you're gonna go out there and first of all, you're a veteran. You're in your prime right now. It's not like you're a young player that's developing and all of that. Like you will be all right. Next game, you're gonna come out, you're gonna get your chance to play well. And the thing is, too, I don't think it's necessarily just you weren't playing well. I think is they just wanted as much offense as they possibly could out there. So they put in Nas Reed.
Who went 3 of 8, 0 of 5 from 3.
5 from 3, yeah. But at the same time, we know that's what he does, though. He shoots.
I'm just saying you put in guys that didn't.
Julius don't even want to shoot. He could go 5 for 6.
I'm just saying you put in guys that didn't give you much more.
I mean, you're trying something, and honestly, at this point, if you're that concerned about like a 12-minute stretch in the game, then your priorities are off. You're trying to win a chip.
For wanting to play as the second best player on the team?
No, for if you get mad about it, I think like it's natural.
Do you owe if you're Finch, do you owe Julius Randle a conversation after the loss? If it works,
yes.
cool. But you lost. Do you owe him a conversation?
It works or doesn't work, you have that conversation regardless.
What's that conversation sound like if you're the coach?
Honestly, you could even have that conversation when he's walking off the court. Like, like we need the 3-point shooting. Like we're bringing in Nas, or we bringing in Nikhil Alexander or whatever. Next after the game, you say
when they brick, do you go back to him and say anything?
Nah, because it's like he doesn't. You go 5 for 6, but you're not a shooter. You know what I mean? In a game where you're already like 2 for 9 or 10.
Yeah,
it's like, you know what I mean? Like you were in the game. The game was getting away from us, right?
Right.
You weren't playing well. We sit you, or we put in shooters. They don't shoot well either. You're trying something. Next game, where you're gonna play, we might try some new type of offense. We might give the ball to Anthony Edwards in different positions, right? If we do that, that makes it hard for you now because now you're probably gonna be on the perimeter anyway. Like we're trying to win a championship, man. Everybody got to swallow their ego. And if you can't swallow it, then that's tough.
Yo.
Crazy. But Paul, I want to stick with you on this, and I'm gonna get you two gentlemen. I'm gonna get you two gentlemen in a second. But I know, Paul, that you philosophically stand on this with egoless basketball. But in terms of hierarchy and relationships, right? I have a question. Do you do that to Ant?
To Ant? No, because he's our only offensive initiator.
No. I'm just saying. If Ant is not playing well, would you sit Ant to get a different look?
No, because he's our only offensive initiator, even when he's not playing well.
So there is something that you're telling Julius Randle about what you think about him as a player by your willingness to sit him. And do you think that, like, how do you manage that implicitly? Like, maybe you're not saying it out loud, you're saying all the right things, but something is clearly being said about what you think about him as a player when you say, I'm going to sit you to try to get a different look.
You're not a shooter. That's all you're saying. And you're not the star player. Like,
so letting you play through struggle is reserved strictly in your mind for only the star player. The star player is the only one who could go out here and stink it up, and I'm gonna keep rolling with him regardless.
You know why? Because forget politics. Like the star player, 9 times out of 10, even when they're struggling, they still have gravity.
And so you don't think that extends to second best players at all?
You can't afford that with second best players sometimes. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. That's why I said, like, it's a situational thing. It's not. It's not a template. I don't believe in template coaching like some of these coaches out here.
No, I agree, but it's just interesting. Like I don't care how bad Kyrie Irving is playing on the Cavs. I'm not benching him.
Right.
You'd look like an idiot. You'd look like an absolute idiot.
That's easy to say because he's so skilled at
right. So again, that's what I'm saying. The willingness to sit him, it communicates something.
Look.
And once that box is open, I'm wondering as a coach how you manage that, right?
Hold on.
You're telling Julius he's not that good.
No, that's not. You're dragging it.
You are.
No. Let me say this about the Kyrie thing, though. If I need a stop, I'm taking out Kyrie.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
Wait, that's totally different. That's totally
how?
No, doing an offensive defensive shift late in the game is totally different. It's totally different. Yes,
that's different from benching someone. That's
benching someone outright for a whole quarter. That's a complete. Those are two
all right. So what
totally separate, different decisions.
All right. Hold on. What if you're up by 10, right, with a minute left, right, and for that whole minute, you just want stops, and you got Matthew Dellavedova there on the bench.
I think you can get that off. Again, that's very different than benching someone for a quarter. You can name all the scenarios. That's very different than saying for a whole quarter there's nothing I offer. I can't give you anything for 12 minutes.
Nah, you know what it is though? That game got out of hand kind of quick, and because of that, I think first of all, it was getting out of hand with Julius because I watched that game. It was getting out of hand, and then what happened is they started to come back a little bit. That's what happened. So if you're already coming back with the lineup that's on the court,
you let it rock.
As a player in the Western Conference Finals, what can I say? What if I'm trying to win the chip? What can I really say if we're coming back? It wasn't until they called the timeout when the Timberwolves were coming back, and then Shai showed that he's Shai.
But that's the moment, right? You ride the hot hand of the group you have, in my opinion, until they call that timeout. Once they call that timeout, you know that they're about to make an adjustment to what's happening. That's when you come back with your guys. In my opinion, that's the exact moment where the momentum's here. It's been done by this group. You call a timeout, try to figure that out, and then I come back at you with my starters. Now what?
It depends.
Now what?
It depends on the adjusment that you believe they're going to make. So and see the fact that we're having this discussion is why I think it's not disrespect. I truly think if you're trying to win a chip, all that goes out the window, man. And all of that goes out the window. You're trying to win a chip. You have a team that's on a run. I can't say a word. I know I'm going to come back next, and I have to hold myself accountable because if I was playing better, then maybe, not even definite, maybe I would be in this game.
But hold on, and I want to get Dre in on this. I want to Dre on this, and then I'll go to you, Alan, in a second. I'm not talking about disrespect because I agree with you there. Like disrespect revolves around ego, and there's no time for that. What I'm talking about is trust, right? The level of trust that Finch and this team has put in Julius Randle in this run as the run has extended has built a level of confidence in him, right? What happens in this moment by this decision by Chris Finch is you bring Julius Randle back down to reality. By that decision, you're clearly communicating to Julius Randle what you believe his limitations are, that you're not good enough for me to just roll with you when we're down by this much. My question is not about disrespect. My question is, how do you as a coach manage the fact that there was a break now in that trust that could affect Julius Randle's confidence? Particularly, Paul, this is why I originally asked you, when you know his history, when in the playoffs it has gone so left for him before, and you're on a run because you have built him up to be performing excellently. Do you not think about that as a coach, that if I do this, I could completely undo all of that? And I want to ask that to Alan. I mean, to Dre.
Yes.
Do you not worry about that?
You should worry about that. You should definitely worry about that. Because when a guy loses his confidence, and we've seen Julius Randle, what it looks like when he loses his confidence. I don't know that I take that risk. Maybe you bench him for a quarter, maybe you bench him for half a quarter, whatever. But benching him for he sat out the rest of the game, didn't he?
He played 32 minutes. I think he sat out most of the fourth, if I'm not incorrect.
That's a ridiculous, especially when you're losing. Especially when you're losing. Like, it would be one thing if they took him out and you had somebody else, and I think Paul was trying
Yeah, he didn't play a single minute in the fourth quarter. Not one.
That's ridiculous.
Not
He's
1
your
minute.
second best player.
Stretch of the game, though.
Say it again?
That was their best stretch of the game.
Maybe still. But you don't take your second best player out because it might be their best stretch of the game, but it doesn't mean that's their best stretch of basketball. And there is a difference. It could be a bad game. This looks the best.
That mentality is a big reason why the Knicks lost game 2.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Here's what.
Hold on. Wait, Dre. Paul, me and you had a long back and forth. Let Dre land. Finish. Don't respond, Dre. Finish your point.
Okay. Because you have a guy that's your second best player. You can trust. You've learned through the entire series and the entire season. You can trust him to help you facilitate a win, to come back. If you don't even put the ball in his hands and give him an opportunity to do that, it'd be one thing if he came back in the fourth quarter and he was still playing like ass, and you're like, all right, then I'm bringing back out. But not to even try is a crazy communication of Julius Randle, and I'm not sure. I don't know that it necessarily sinks them for the rest of the series, but I don't know that it helps either.
Alan, what do you think about this? Not from a disrespect, but from a trust standpoint, where like that's what I'm saying. Because that's what I'm saying. The reason why you would never do it to Kyrie is because Kyrie's amazing, even though he's your second best player. You have the belief that he's gonna figure some way out to help us, and you put him back in. Julius Randle, clearly Finch thinks, no, we have a better shot if I just bench him. But I think that is a thing that's clearly perceived by Julius, by you making that decision. How do they manage the fact that that's now that Pandora's box is now open? Julius and the Timberwolves have been in this wonderful fantasy where Julius is this amazing playoff performer thus far. That reality, that bubble has now been burst. What do you do with that now?
That's tough to answer. It really depends on it depends on their coach-player relationship, first of all, right? And secondly, it depends on what type of player Julius Randle is. It's very well possible that Coach Finch knows this is the way to wake him up. This is what's gonna get him motivated to play better in this game, or whatever. That could be the case for him if that's the type of player he is. If you notice in game 1, after game 1, Coach Finch in his post-game press conference, he did kind of call out and he did call out Julius. So I'm starting to think perhaps he's kind of like one of those old school coaches who has a relationship with players where I'm gonna call you out when you do something and I'm gonna do this, and that's gonna motivate you. I feel like maybe that's where he was going with this. So now it's kind of all up on Julius and how he's gonna perceive that moment. I hope he's not going to take it as the type of player who he feels like the trust is not there anymore. I feel like I want to be optimistic and say he's going to take that as a moment to internalize what happened and just be like Paul said earlier, I just got to be better for this game. This game's my chance. I'm going to look at the film. I'm going to show them what I could really be next game. If he's not doing that, then how can I trust you anyway? You know what I mean?
So stay right there. I'm going to show him what I could be next game. Kenny Smith made a really good point, though. Sometimes this confidence thing, it goes either way. Sometimes you kill the confidence, and so the player is less aggressive, less productive. But sometimes if you're bullheaded, like I think we all believe Julius is, sometimes a challenge to their confidence in order to protect themselves, they double down. So could this have the impact of making Julius now want to prove Finch wrong? And would that and be unhelpful to the Timberwolves in that way? Where now he comes out and he's like, "You ain't gonna bench me this game. I'm gonna go off. I'm gonna do me. Do you risk that as well?
Have an adverse effect?
Yeah. Now he's not even in his team concept. He's in. I gotta prove myself. I gotta redeem myself. I gotta go crazy. I gotta show him he should never do that again. He gonna bench me. Watch this. I'm gonna go crazy. I'm gonna have 30. What if you do that?
Yeah. I think that's a calculated risk, and I think that's the risk you're willing to take when you're up against a monster of a team. I'm okay taking that kind of risk because we're not winning. If you're playing how you played tonight, we're not winning, and if you do that, we're not winning. So in either way, we're not winning. You know what I mean? So if this is the risk I take to see if you could play better and within the team, that's a calculated risk I'm willing to take. You know what I mean? Because now he doesn't lose much if Julius does that because they're losing anyway.
I just feel like I don't disagree with you all. I get the risk, and this could be the cap point on this. I just feel like I've said this before about long-term, short-term coaching, and I know Paul strongly feels that like every moment is win now, and everything is short-term coaching if you have a chance to win. I don't know how the other two feel about that, but I always Phil Jackson to me, he could be in a final series, and he's thinking about the long-term development of a team. Like, and maybe that just comes from the fact that he's won so much, so he doesn't first personally feel pressure to win in any specific moment because he's done it already. But I've heard stories about like even though we have a chance to win right now, I'm thinking about how this decision is going to affect you next year and the year after that. Maybe we have a chance to win because we're good, but I know you're one of our best players and you have to get better. And even if it might make a better decision to do something to maybe win this game, it's going to kill you. Or it's not setting you like the Kobe air balls, right? Like he shouldn't have been shooting those shots in Utah. There's no way on. There's no reason Kobe should have been given those shots in regulation and overtime. But they knew like this has got to be a part of it. It's the playoffs. We got Shaq. Shaq's in a win now mode, and this is the first round. Why are we putting the ball in the hands of a 20-year-old? Because that 20-year-old is going to be our 1B one day, and we need him to feel that. Right? That's just it's not a map on example, but it's just an example of like even in a win now scenario where championship is the goal, sometimes you got to think long term. And I'm thinking about the fact that Julius just got here, right? And like I'm not saying you should be a loser mentality, Chris Finch, and think we can't beat the Thunder. But in the same breath, Ant is young. This is your second conference finals. If Julius Randle is going to be the counterpart moving forward, does this decision serve that? Or could it completely kill that? Or does him doing this decision show that the actual thinking in the front office is we're going to try to squeeze one this year, but Julius Randle is not our long-term plan for pairing with Ant? And does Julius now know that? That's what I'm saying, right? Like
if you look at history last year, there were times to close the games against the Nuggets where Cat was benched, and there were times when Rudy was benched.
And what happened?
They won.
No, but what happened after the season? The reality came out that Cat was not a part of their long-term plans. So that's what I'm saying. If you're Julius, you understand all of this. The decision to do that communicates maybe that. And so I'm saying either that is the case, where they're trying to do as much as they can this year, but Julius is not their long-term plan, or you're not thinking about the fact that this guy is your long-term Ant partner, and you're not setting him up for that.
But long-term, see, when you turn 31, when you're turning 31, right, and you not shown yourself to be some type of championship 1B or B player, you know in your career there's a good chance there is no long term anywhere. His long term was in New York. And even in New York, we didn't expect it to be that long term. He just played so good in the regular season. Right? So again, like that's why I think, and then furthermore, real quick, most times the second best player isn't long term. CJ McCollum got traded.
No. I'm talking about in winning scenarios. I'm not talking about like period. I'm talking about in winning scenarios. I'm not talking about
in winning scenarios.
Name champions. Name a team that won multiple championships that changed who their second best player was.
Yeah, no, agreed. That's why I said most time. We talk about the team that won.
No, I'm talking about winning. That's what I'm talking about in the winning.
The Timberwolves ain't won anything.
No, exactly. But I'm saying to get
who their second best player is.
Yeah, I'm saying to get to win. They added KD, so sure.
It's like the most obvious example.
That's the only one in history.
I don't know if that's true.
That team should have never existed. That's why there's so much anomalies with that team.
And even then, I would say I understand your point, but no one was lost. Like they didn't swap anyone out. They just added, and then the hierarchy shifted down. I'm talking about a team that won a chip, and then the second best player left, and you got a new second best player. I don't think that's ever happened.
Yeah, with teams that win the chip, because if you won the chip, you think, okay,
You gotta, you gotta have your guys locked in. Yeah, you gotta have your guys locked in.
No. You have proven to yourself, to your front office, that we have a formula that works.
But Paul, what I'm trying to get to is that it doesn't work retroactively. It's not like it's not like you win a chip and then the team all of a sudden goes, okay, now this is chip worthy, and you have to build to that.
Yeah, but
you don't just wait. You don't just wait to see if a team you're developing can win a chip, and then once they win it, you go, okay, word. You have to build up a team that you believe is chip worthy and lock into that.
You don't build
you do.
with
Yes, you do.
You don't build with a 31-year-old.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you. But which is why. Paul, wait, hold on, because before you go to, but that's my point. Is that's ultimately what the conclusion I'm trying to get to see if y'all agree with is that decision, what that revealed about this Timberwolves, they're not going anywhere. That's what this decision. If you are a team willing to bench your second best player for a whole fourth quarter in the conference finals, you're not winning diddly. You're not winning anything. And so that's what we learned. This team is not going to be the team to get it done. They're not going to win this series, and Ant's not winning a championship currently constructed. We already knew that from game 1 in terms of role players, but I think that's what game 2 showed. Game 2 showed, oh no, he needs a completely different team. He needs new role players, and he needs an actual second best player.
But to your original point about coaching and how I would address that, if Julius came to me, I had a problem with that. Looking at the situation right now, because he's turning 31 in December. He's a 11-year vet, and you coming to me you're a part of this team. You're not the team. Relax. Go sit down. Relax.
Yeah, I'm off managing it. I was just doing that to try to get into like the context of the situation to see, like, I was trying to get y'all to pull out what doing this reveals, and you guys did that, right? But that's not where I'm landing, right? Like, do y'all agree that's what is revealed by this? What's revealed by this is Finch does not think of Julius Randle in that way, and so even though obviously they're all trying to win, what that means is this team is not. They're not that.
Well,
they're not that.
In the Western Conference Championship, so
but what that's showing is that what that's showing is that Ant with some talent can get you to a conference finals, which we've seen.
They had talent last year.
Exactly, we've seen that before. We've seen players that like lived in conference finals because they were good enough that if you give them some talent, they're gonna get there. But what we're saying is that this version is not a chip. This is not a chip team. By that decision right there in game 2, we learned this is not a chip team.
I agree.
So it's not, they're going to lose to Thunder because they're better and this team comes back and gets better next year. No. This team is not as constructed that. And they still have a ways to go. Even though they've been in back-to-back conference finals, an overhaul is actually needed. All that has happened is Ant has gotten pretty good. That's at least what my takeaway is. That's what we've learned. Ant has gotten pretty good, but this team is actually not that damn good.
I mean, championship already.
But that's where we're at now. When you go to back-to-back conference finals, that's not what we have to evaluate. Like, what has to happen for this team to win a chip? And for some, it's like, piece here, piece there, or certain guys got to get better. What we learned in game 2? No. The whole thing. Toss it.
Yeah, we talked about that like loosely a little bit last week.
Right.
I was trying to tell Paul, like, I think this Julius Randle on the team is not. I don't think this is like the final product. I think this is just a transition into how the team gets better, and that's why they traded Cat, because it gives them an avenue to get better. While Anthony Edwards keeps progressing. Yeah, flexibility.
Okay, yeah.
While Anthony Edwards keeps progressing. And
right. And
you're
that's
making a good point.
We don't like to talk about it. We don't like to talk about it, but what it really tells me is that Finch is locked in on Ant, and he wants Ant to just experience success. It's not about winning the chip, it's about Ant.
Yeah,
it's about Ant. This whole year is just in service of Ant's development. This team was never winning anything.
Yeah.
This team was never winning anything.
Don't get that confused with them. That doesn't mean they're not trying to win.
Of course, they're trying to win. But what this shows to me is it actually is long-term thinking, and Julius is not a part of it.
I think so.
He's not a part of it, and this is all of this experience is just ant development.
Listen, it's Minnesota. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay. It's been 90 minutes. It's time now. We're gonna slow walk this dog. Not too slow though, because we are at 90 minutes. I'd like to only be here for another 30. I think this is pretty simple in terms of what this series breakdown is. I think it is interesting though, but I think it's pretty simple. I don't think we're learning anything. I think things are just being highlighted. But I'll shut up. I went to Alan first the last series. Dre is not here. Paul, we're gonna slow walk this. Just break down game one, and I'm gonna start with this question. In game one, what was working for the Knicks that stopped working, and what did the Pacers eventually figure out?
Figure out?
Yeah. Or if you don't like that framing, what eventually became successful for them?
They got lucky. Oh, listen.
Okay, go. No, listen, if that's how he wants to do it, let him just do it. But start with the Knicks. No, start with the Knicks first because I don't like the energy of that side of it. Start with the Knicks first. What was working for the Knicks that stopped working?
See, this is what
stopped working.
Stop.
Yo, this guy go back. Okay.
Paul, what was working for the Knicks?
Here's the thing, right? And this is what's really getting me.
Please let me shape the convo, y'all. Please don't just rant. Like, try to be responsive to the questions. I want the fans to be able to actually peel something out of this. I'm going
to try my best to answer your questions, but I'm going to speak the truth.
Okay, yes, please.
What's going on in the media?
You're already starting. Nowhere near the question.
Let him speak. Hold on.
Nowhere near the question.
I'm gonna get there.
He's making a point. He's making a point.
You have piqued my interest.
You see.
And this media, I asked him about the Knicks. I said, what was working for the Knicks?
This podcast is an example of what I'm talking about. We spent 90 minutes talking about the Timberwolves and the Thunder. That series is there's nothing there.
We're trying to
this is the problem with the media, right? When it comes to covering the Knicks, they act like we're never the main character, right?
This is
exactly no. I'm going around in the circle. I'm going somewhere,
and I want to talk about the basketball. Please, for the love of God, for the love of God.
You don't like what I'm saying. But it's the truth.
Please,
it's the truth.
Please talk basketball.
What worked for the Knicks, is that they couldn't guard us. They couldn't hold Cat. They couldn't hold Jalen Brunson. And they couldn't even hold Mikal Bridges. And the thing is this is why I started off the way I started off. It is not about what works or what didn't work, right? What happened is the whole game didn't have a killer instinct. We didn't put our foot on the gas, and we were watching them because they're going to guard us game one, right? That didn't stop. What happened is Naismith turned into Klay Thompson. They got lucky, right? But their killer instinct has been an issue all year, and it hasn't stopped.
Here we go. Tell me more. Tell me.
Right? And the reason I talk about the media is because we control our destiny too. You don't like what I'm saying, but I'm going somewhere. We control our destiny. We could be the main character of the story too, right? If we put our foot on their necks and we're focused, they don't even win game two. That's the issue.
Hey, right there.
Thibodeau,
can you apply? Okay, go ahead. I just want you to get to X and O's.
If Thibodeau coached with some common sense, we would have been up 2-0, right?
So tell me the decisions. Give me the X's and O's. What plays exhibited the lack of killer instinct? What coaching decisions showed that it was nonsensical? I want you to talk about what actually
in game
get
one,
all this narrative that you want to tell about the Knicks. Tell me what happened on the basketball court.
In game 1 or 2? Or
one.
Both?
We're starting with one.
Game
Good,
1.
I'm talking about game 2 only.
Great.
Game 1, right? what happened is they show. Okay, first of all, Pascal didn't have a great game, right? Tyrese was having a great game though, so it didn't really matter as much. They still got the contributions that they wanted, right? They couldn't guard us. We got a good lead. Jalen Brunson got in foul trouble and we took him out. Right? Deuce comes in. This is why, no matter I see in comments, this is why I allowed you to go down that path where it came to Julius, because I had no problem with Jalen Brunson being out that game. I think he shouldn't have touched the court again. You know why? Because he's not perfect. He's not God. He's not the greatest defender. Deuce is a better defender, right? Okay. So let Deuce come in and close the game with what we needed the most, defense. He decided to bring Jalen Brunson back in the game, right? But even with Jalen Brunson back in the game, they had some defensive. They let Naismith get like 1 or 2 open shots, and then that was a wrap. He now is like, oh, I'm making my shots now. I'm just gonna chuck. I value chucks. You gotta handle chucks with care though, right? Campaign was a chuck. You gotta handle him with care. You can't play him like every game in this moment, in this time, just because that's what I decided to do. That's called template coaching. A Knicks content creator came up with that term. I'm not taking credit for it, but it's the truth. Tibbs is a template coach. He just does what he thinks he's supposed to do every game and doesn't look at what's going on within the game too enough and say true. This is what the game. He says the game tells you what you need to do, but that doesn't apply to him. That only applies to the players, right? So that's what happened, right? We bring back in Jalen Brunson. We don't play with the intensity. We think we got the game in the bag, right? We would have been better off fouling Naismith, to be honest with you. Don't even let him get them threes off. At least a few of them. And then maybe we win the game. Right? But that was game 1. Naismith turned into Klay Thompson. I don't think the Pacers found anything that worked, which is why I'm saying,
how can you say those two statements in the same breath? Naismith turned into Klay Thompson, but the Pacers didn't find anything that worked. Wait. But how can you say that? You're not giving the Pacers credit for identifying this coverage issue that you have with Naismith and spamming and spamming it 5 times.
It wasn't a coverage issue.
I'm calling a coverage issue the lack of intensity. Like if they run it and they see how you're playing it with a lack of intensity, they made the high IQ decision to go back to it. I think you got to give them credit for that. You have to give them credit for that.
Common sense. I'm not giving them credit for that. That's common sense. He's hot. We have nothing to lose, right? We're away anyway. We're not even
the reason I think to give him credit for that is because y'all almost
bad shots he's taking.
But Paul, no, they weren't. They were great shots. But Paul, you act like they were chucks.
They're great shots. They're great shots.
Inbounds and pick and rolls. What are you talking about?
It wasn't just inbounds. He was taking off the dribble contested shots.
I said they were pin downs and pick and rolls, which are the exact type of actions
he wasn't open
3-point shots. It's the playoffs.
No. You let a role player take contested shots. Come on, what are we talking about? He got lucky. Let's call it spade.
But when you make 3 in a row, you have to do something.
Right. That's why I said it's common sense. Like, what credit you want me to give them? Come on, like this is what I'm trying to say. Like,
I'll get back to this later. No, I'll get back to this later. The reason why I want you to give them credit is because y'all almost won game 2 because they almost didn't do that. They almost didn't recognize what was working and go back to it. Tyrese was trying to take over in the 4th quarter in game 2 and it wasn't working. And they almost forgot to go back to Pascal, who fucking had 40. And it wasn't until they went back to Pascal that they closed the game. So you have to give credit for the fact that they did make that recognition in game 1 that this is working. Forget egos and who's supposed to close. Get this guy the ball.
And I'm still looking at Tom Thibodeau more than anything because why is Josh Hart guarding Pascal most of the game?
What a mistake was that? Are we serious?
What are we doing? This is what I'm trying to say. We beat ourselves.
Stay on game one. We'll get to game 2.
Okay. But I'm done with game 1. Like I said, I said
you don't have anything to say from the Pacers side at all? You're just gonna just talk about
Listen, okay, this is what I'll say.
Yeah, like that's not a whole team over there, bro. Like,
let me.
I get that you love your team, but stop acting like you're playing bums. You're
Let
playing
me say,
a really good.
Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me. Talk to Andre with that. I said first of all,
so then talk about what the Pacers did well.
They are a well-oiled machine on the offensive end. I said Knicks in 6 for a reason. I said they're a respectable team for a reason, right?
Okay, so be an analyst and talk about it.
No,
bro.
but you said what you're asking is that you want me to say what resulted in the win, what worked for them. Nah, with them playing the way they usually play, they almost got beat. And if we didn't move like some idiots, we still would have beat them. That's the point. We are allowing them to do what they do. We're allowing them to look this unstoppable. We're the ones that's allowing them to be up 2-0 right now. I'm sorry. Like, you want me to speak
the problem why I struggle with that? The problem why I struggle with that, Paul, is because they've done this to everybody they played.
Right.
That's my issue. So to act like it's not something that is a part of what they do is disingenuous to me, and you're not being an analyst. You're just
Cleveland didn't even have their second best player for most of the series. Maybe that series would have looked a little different. I'm not saying they wouldn't have won because I like I said, the Pacers are a good team, and the Bucks. I never said the Bucks were that. I never believed in the Bucks. I picked the Pacers anyway. Right now, you could not like what I'm saying. I don't care. It's the truth.
It's not that I don't like what you're saying. It's not that I don't like what you're saying. I just feel like you have more to offer when you're only speaking in your fandom. You refuse to even look.
I believe what I'm saying.
Look at the Pacers with the analytical. I'm not saying you're lying. I'm saying like you don't even want to address the Pacers as a whole team with your analytical lens because you're just focused about the problems your team has as a fan. But that's fine. If that's the space you're in, I understand why. You're under a lot of stress right now. I get it. Alan, do you want to offer our fans some analysis of what the Pacers were doing well to win that game?
I don't want to hear
They
it.
didn't do nothing well, man. The Knicks
They didn't do anything
themselves.
well.
That's crazy to say.
Man.
That's
No,
ridiculous
The
to
Knicks beat
say.
themselves. The Knicks beat themselves. And you know what? I'll give the Pacers
The
this.
man had 6 threes in like a minute and 30 seconds, and you don't want to say the Knicks beat themselves? Come on, man. Game 2 is a better game to analyze. That's what I believe.
Agreed. That's why I
believe
said
game
I
2
want
is a
to
better
talk
game
about
to
game
analyze.
But even in game 1, okay, to your point, the Knicks did make mistakes. So if y'all want to say that,
yeah, I mean, you had the worst collapse in playoff history, won in 1914. So obviously it was your fault. I'm not getting off that, but I think but as in being a basketball analyst, I think a lot of what Indiana got to win the game at the end of that game is things that continued in game 2, which was what I was trying to do without having to be so meta and explain it to y'all. I thought y'all could help with the basketball conversation.
Here's the thing. You want to know what the Pacers did well? The Pacers did what Tom Thibodeau says he claims to do. He took what the game gave him. Okay, they said no coverage for Naismith. Got it. You're gonna put Josh Hart on Pascal Siakam. Got it. All right. You're gonna let.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you.
But he's talking about what the Knicks allowed him to do. That's still about the Knicks. That's not about them. That's common sense.
But did the Pacers' recognition of that not lead to what their success was in game 2?
Yes, it did.
You got to give credit for that, bro. Yes. We have to acknowledge what's going on. Come on now.
So
Alan didn't finish, by the way. Alan didn't.
I'm sorry, Alan. I'm sorry.
But like to your point, Andre, about Josh Hart being on Siakam, what the Pacers really so. In game 1, before game 1, right? Last week we talked about how the Knicks shouldn't with Karl-Anthony Towns, they shouldn't do like drop coverage in the pick and roll because he's going to get killed. They did that game 1. They went away from that game 2. They started just doing straight up switches in game 2, right?
Then they got killed.
That worked, but there's a reason why they got killed. That worked against Boston because Boston, they would do the switch and Boston would just go. Pacers is different. They don't just get one switch and go. They still keep the ball moving. They still keep trying to find matchups. They still
bodies moving.
They still relocate at all times. I think their offense is so good that they don't just stop at the one switch. They keep going until they find a matchup that they want to exploit, and they kill the Knicks on that part. It's not just the Knicks beating themselves. Is why Pacers scoring 120 points every game. That's not just the Knicks beating themselves. That's a high octane offense, and the Knicks can keep up with that. But at the end of the day, like, yes, the Knicks do make mistakes, but it's not just them beating themselves. You have to give the Pacers more credit than what you're doing. Their offense is really good. Tyrese Halliburton is amazing at like
Agreed.
picking and choosing what to do. Like sometimes he'll reject the
Dictating
screen,
pace, identifying the hot hand, identifying the
rejecting
mismatch.
screens, like identifying mismatch, rejecting screens, getting the ball to the right person in their spot. Like they're very
driving
good.
to the right side of the court.
Yes,
There's point guards don't understand this in today's
true.
game. They just think about how to beat their man. They don't think about who's gonna help and then who was my pass after that drive. Ant, we talked about Ant's development. Ant doesn't know how to manipulate the floor. Tyrese Halliburton knows exactly who's going to rotate to him on his drive to get someone who he wants to have a wide open shot. There's never a person that gets a kick out that's not supposed to get a kick out because he sets it up and he drives to where he needs to go to get that defender to help and pass that guy every time.
I'll just add one more thing, like to y'all point about the Knicks being themselves and about Coach Thibodeau. I'll say one more thing. Charles Barkley, Chuck made a very good point on the post game after I think it was game 1, where he was like the Knicks, like part of fatigue is also mental fatigue, and the Knicks do start making mistakes at the end of games. Like they make pretty stupid mistakes when it comes to like fouling at the end of games, and also like turnovers at the end of games. Yeah, turnovers. Like they do make stupid mistakes.
Shot selection. I didn't hear you guys talk about that at all.
You didn't
want to talk about the Knicks.
And to like, hold on, and to like Pharaoh's point about Aaron Nesmith, he wasn't just chucking up shots, man. Like y'all cover like the coverage around him changed at the end of the game.
Yes, it did.
Because the coverage changed, but like I don't know if like OG, I know
like 3 fadeaways.
Bro, he also took like on pin downs. On the pin downs that Pharaoh was talking about, like OG Anunoby also was like not in the picture that much. Let him get open shots.
He was in a drop.
Yeah.
Come on.
So like, and he wasn't playing him like that the whole game. So it is like so after Chuck said that, I did go back and watch some highlights, and I saw what he was talking about.
Yeah.
And like, so part of that is like maybe Tim's fault for playing the same 6 players.
Yes.
Nomad said it in the chat that like on the other side, Pacers are playing like 11 players at a time. Like they have 11-man rotation. But that's very uncommon in playoffs. Like in playoffs, you do kind of have like an 8-man rotation.
Not for Rick Carlisle's teams.
Yeah.
Not for a Rick Carlisle team. He's considered one of the greatest tacticians in the NBA for this exact reason. He gets every bit of talent out of his team.
And one last point. Yes. Let me make one last point before you go, Andre. The Pacers are like, it's not just, you can't just say Knicks are beating themselves because the Pacers are low-key beating themselves too. They letting y'all get
Let's talk about it, bro.
They're not good defenders. They're not like that. That's what they are.
Hold on.
I'm getting all the offensive rebounds. That's what I'm saying.
I'm about to say Draymond made a great point.
The best offensive rebounder.
But Draymond made a great point. In terms of first possession defense, the Pacers are doing a good job of locking y'all up. If you take away your second chance points off Mitch being amazing, they beat you by 20 last night.
You know what? Again, that's still on Tibbs. Look, y'all don't really want me to talk, but go ahead. Y'all don't really want me to go. Go ahead. I want me to say what you want me to say. Go ahead.
That's not true. I just wanted you to say more. It's actually the opposite. I feel like you have more intellect to speak on more of what was happening, and there's only a certain part of what was happening you want to talk about.
Listen. Everything that Alan said about the Pacers and why they are a good team and a contender at this point is the truth.
We know. Wait. You don't want to talk about it.
No. Listen, you know why I don't want to talk about it? Because it's irrelevant, in my opinion, because they could do all of that and we still should be beating them. But because we're playing so dumb, it doesn't. That's the issue. It is not the Pacers being this good. It's because we are not being coached correctly, and we're not playing correct.
Are these wait? But are these new problems?
Are these
this
new
is a year-long problem?
Which means what?
You know what?
Wait. Which means what?
No. I don't agree with what he just.
I know you don't, but I'm telling. Let me address it.
Okay, go ahead.
If these are year-long things and these are not new issues we're talking about, what does that mean?
Tibbs needs to go.
But what does that mean about the Knicks?
What does it mean?
It means that's your team. which means
You know
this
why?
idea that which means that this framework of we're supposed to be winning, not if this is what you do. If this is your team, if these are your issues year long, that means this is what you are, and the Pacers are the perfect team to exploit that.
Now
so this idea that we're beating ourselves and it's not the Pacers are your kryptonite because of the stupid stuff you do end of games, and they're the most elite clutch team in the league.
They're not the most elite clutch team in the league. That's us. But anyway, look.
How?
The Pacers are second.
How? What do you mean how? You just watched 2 series. No.
The Pacers are second. We did this against healthy teams.
Mad hyperbolic.
Yeah, we did this against better teams and healthy teams. The Pacers are better than the Bucks, by the way. Anyway,
but wait, both the teams are not healthy. Neither of the teams are healthy that you beat.
What are you?
Neither one.
What are you?
The Celtics.
About?
Kristaps was not healthy. He was sick.
He's always injured.
His
he wasn't healthy when he won the chip, so I don't care.
Jason Tatum tore his Achilles,
that's not different,
bro. What are you talking about?
Kristaps was dead.
Have you heard the reports about what he was dealing with? Are you like
Kristaps? Kristaps is never healthy. He wasn't even healthy last year in the finals.
He was healthier than that.
Yeah.
He wasn't even playing every game in the finals, was he?
Yeah, what?
He played every, or maybe he missed one, but he
missed game one.
Kristaps being injured is like Joel Embiid being injured.
Playing hurt.
It's a fact.
Playing hurt and being halfway dead is 2 different things.
2 very different things, bro.
Kristaps
I put sauce on it, but he was very
on the top with the Celtics. You can't rely on Kristaps to boss us up. But anyway, let me tell you what I was saying.
Wait, he wasn't a major difference in the finals versus the Mavericks?
Yeah, game 1 he was the biggest piece.
Come on now.
Yes, and then after that, I don't even think he played that much. Now, anyway, like I was
saying, you just lied to the national public, but okay.
No, I didn't. But anyway, look, the thing is, right, with the what was I gonna say? Wait, what you said, Andre, about this is who we are?
I didn't say that.
No, you said that.
If you said these are year-long problems, does that not mean this is who you are?
I don't know that it means that. It means how we're being coached. It doesn't mean who we are.
No, but if you're saying that,
if this is your coach and this is what you do, is that not who you are?
No.
Oh no, I forgot. You Knicks fans operate with this fantasy idea of the team within the team.
Now, Pharaoh,
there's some team within this team that's who we really are. But Tibbs and this guy and Mitch's help don't let us be who we're gonna be.
You do that a lot. You want to lump me and Andre in together with these arguments because you want to jump on Andre. Talk to me. Listen.
Wait.
Paul, bring that to Andre. Don't bring it to me.
Crazy.
Tell Andre to not.
That was crazy, Paul. That was wild.
No, because that's not right. Because Andre, you will interrupt me.
There we go. Yeah.
And then Pharaoh would jump on you and
I was making my point, and everyone jumped on me in the middle of it.
He was asking us a question, and then I think I was about to talk, and then you went. All right, go ahead.
Because it was my point. You literally talked for like 15 minutes.
Paul is mad because you fall into all the Knicks fan traps that I said, and he's upset about it, but he doesn't want to tell you. He wants to tell me to stop doing it. He wants me to stop doing it. Tell him to stop falling for it.
I'm not falling for anything. We're not going to sit here and pretend.
Look at Paul.
We're not going to sit. Listen. We're not going to sit here and pretend Coach Tibbs is doing a fantastic job and he knows how to use his guys right and he's not getting out-coached by the Pacers. That's fine,
but that's still your team. You can't act like that's not your
team. He did not do this against the Celtics. This is the thing. This is why I disagree that this is like just who we are. No, we were coached better against the Celtics. He made way better adjustments against the Celtics. Because he didn't coach in politics against the Celtics.
Listen,
for some reason he had
down 20 because you were down 20 most of the time. And this is what I really want to say.
Why he's the coach?
Y'all team identity is the killer instinct you're talking about. Y'all play better under stress.
I agree with you.
Y'all don't play well when you are in good scenarios, and I think that applies to Tibbs. Again, like you said, teams coach differently because y'all were down 20 most of the time. So he was like, whatever, whatever works. But when things are going well, then he plays. Then he does template coaching, like you said.
Listen. Well, guess what? We're down 0-2, so that's a good sign. Then I guess, right, Pharaoh?
That's what's sick. That's the sick thing about it. The sick thing about it is that you guys are probably more confident now, and your players might play a little better now. But I think the Pacers, you can't play with them like that. Is my ultimate conclusion.
Let me say this too.
You can't play with them like that.
I said this last week, and then Island and Andre, you go. The Pacers are not that good defensively. And it's showing.
Y'all are the same team. Let's talk about it.
No, we're not
the same team. Like,
no, we're not. We're a more talented team.
You're both incredibly good on the road in the playoffs, but terrible at home. You both play extremely well in the clutch. You both are point guard led, but you both are bad at defense.
We're not bad at defense. That's the thing. Not anymore. We're not bad at defense anymore.
The problem is Cat is bad at defense. That's the issue.
Correct.
And that's why I look at Tibbs.
Correct.
Really,
and that's
really
a big
bad.
problem. Last
That's
night,
why I look at Tibbs.
I literally texted Paul when this happened. Cat refuses to rotate. And that is another Coach Tibbs problem. Take his ass out.
Hold on.
Can
Can I just tie this one together and trigger you to end the episode?
Okay.
Watch this. Y'all are the same team, basically. Like, you're different flavors. Like, you're different flavors, but y'all are the same product, right? For all the reasons I just said. So that means the series comes down to what? Who plays better between Halliburton and Brunson? And in the fourth quarter, you cannot deny, for all that next Kobe talk, Halliburton has played better than Brunson in 2 straight fourth quarters.
That's a fact.
And that's where this series lies to me. Which one of your point guard superstars is going to close each game? And so far, Halliburton is up 2-0.
You're talking 2 games versus 2 series. My money is still on Jalen Brunson.
Agreed.
You're acting like Halliburton wasn't going crazy in his series in the clutch. What are we talking about? Oh, the same team, bro. Yeah. I'm trying to tell you. Halliburton said it himself.
My money on Brunson.
In his post game, he said it himself. He said, these teams, we both play a lot of the same way. So he said this is going to come down to who dictates and who executes on our mismatches. And he said, I did a pretty bad job for most of this fourth quarter, which I agree with getting Pascal the ball. But luckily, I realized it towards the end, and I got him the ball, and Pascal put you away. And that is the difference between him and Brunson. At the end of a game, Brunson is not thinking about what's going to work. Brunson is going to go out and shoot the ball. Halliburton, he almost was like that, and then game 2 was a growth moment where he got back to being a point guard and figured out what was going to work. And unless Brunson can do that, you're going to lose this series.
And this is where I think you're dragging it, right? It's a very easy decision to make, to give Pascal the ball when you got somebody half his size on him. Why is somebody half his size on him the whole game?
Correct.
You know, OG Anunoby was on the weak side most of the time on the court.
Address my point about Brunson's decision making in the fourth quarter. Address that
Brunson
point.
has proven time and time again the best decisions are when he has the ball in the fourth quarter. So I'm not going to say it's a bad decision.
It's not about having the ball. We're talking about decisions with the ball.
Yeah, I know.
His shot selection in both those fourth quarters has been horrible.
I'll give it to you. Last night
was
horrible. Not the whole time.
Horrible.
In the last minute of the game, yes. Yeah. But not the whole fourth quarter. Not the whole fourth quarter. That's not true.
Yeah, sure. Okay, I'm just saying, like, it's been 2 straight fourth quarters where Halliburton has outplayed Brunson. And that's been the difference in the game. Because y'all are the same team. Y'all going to go back and forth for most of the game. It's going to come down to 4 quarters this entire series. I don't see one blowout this series.
If Tibbs, well, I said that too before the series started.
Is that going to happen, though? Is Tibbs going to change? It's the conference finals now. Can we stop saying this?
We've seen it. We've seen him make decisions this last series where you're like, whoa, okay, that actually makes it okay, and then it works out. If Cat, look, you see how Julius sat in the whole fourth quarter? We might need that from Cat. I said this game. I said this series.
Cat sat most of the fourth this game, and then he brought him back. Most people on the internet have been complaining about that. The fact that you only brought Cat back in with 2 minutes and 50 seconds left.
Yeah, well, they can say what they want. They're wrong. Cat is horrible defensively.
Yeah,
you can't afford it. And the problem is,
but what does that leave you on offense? It leaves you Jalen Brunson hero ball, does it not?
No, because we have Mikal Bridges.
Not necessarily. That's where we're not like the
mid-range.
We got
Does Jalen Brunson get him the ball? Does Jalen Brunson get him the ball?
He can. That's what made a big difference.
You said he can. Does he?
He will. That's the adjustment.
You said past and future tense. Does he?
No, because there is no present tense right now. They're not playing in the moment.
He can. He will. Does he?
Are they playing? Wait, are they playing presently right now at 1:45?
Played last night.
No,
Did
they
he?
played last night, which
Did
is
he?
what in the past. So in the past, he didn't do it.
Did he?
Last night he didn't do it.
Okay.
Last night he didn't do it. He did it in the Celtics series, which leads me to believe he can do it again. That is also on Tibbs. Recognize, talk to your fucking guy, and tell him this is what you need to do.
But do you think
run plays from McHale?
When we're talking about stage, stage.
Come on.
Listen, Reggie.
This is fucking
Reggie.
Kenny
and Shaq talked about this last night too. The stage has a lot of different effects on players. Sometimes the light is too bright and that makes players shrink. Sometimes the stage gasses you up too much. I don't know if I believe this yet. Could Brunson bringing the New York Knicks to the Eastern Conference Finals
stop you right there.
For the first time in 25 years, every player getting a block named after him? Could that man be gassed a little bit?
No. He's
it
exactly
looks like the way he played in those first two games, it looks like he was feeling himself a little bit.
The way he played in those first two games,
and was like, I gotta get it. I'm talking about execution down the stretch. It looked like he didn't consider any other way other than I gotta do it. I'm Big Body Brunson. We in the Garden. It's the Eastern Conference Finals. I gotta play. I'm Clutch Player of the Year. It looks like he's feeling that. He's sipping that Kool-Aid a little bit.
I see why you say that, but I disagree. Because here's why I disagree, right?
Especially when he had 11 assists last night. I'm not listening to this.
I'm not talking about the whole game.
The fourth quarter, though.
We're talking because again, y'all are basically even most of the game. That's how the series is gonna go. Y'all are gonna go back and forth most of the game. This game is always gonna come down to fourth quarter, and that's what I'm saying. The way Halliburton has played in 2 straight fourths, and the way Brunson has played. Brunson has looked like I'm Big Buddy Brunson. I got to get it done. I'm going to pull up for these fading step back threes. I'm going to pull up from the logo. And Halliburton has, how do I get a good shot? And that's a fact. Now, we don't know the facts of the mentality, but one could assume that or insinuate that from the play, from the facts. I just want to know if y'all have that as a concern, or even better question, if that's true, does that mean it's over?
I'll say, like I said, right? I see why you say that. Jalen Brunson is that good. I don't listen. He's been here for 3 years now. I don't question anything he does. I know I disagree with that shot he took, right? That over 2 people to try and tie the game. However, this is why I compare to Kobe Bryant. You let them rock.
Oh my God.
You let them rock. I know you don't like him, but we're from New York. I don't care. You let them rock.
Wait. Can I ask a question? Do you think Kobe fans had that level of deference before he won a chip?
Before? You mean when he was like 18?
21?
No. Just when he was getting really good, right? When he was getting really good, but hadn't won anything, do you think he had earned that level of deference yet? The level of deference you're talking about with Kobe, do you know why he had that in terms of his shot selection?
Wait, hold on.
I don't know why. Just tell me.
No. Don't.
But that matters.
I'm asking a very specific question. You are bringing him up as a reference point for deference from a fan base on shot selection. You're talking to someone who was in that fan base, who was giving that deference for 20 years. Do you think that he had that prior to winning anything?
No.
Do you think he had that after 1 chip?
No.
Do you think he had it after 2?
No.
Did he have it after 3?
That I don't know.
He got it probably the year after the 3rd one. Because then we had a true resume had been built at that point of you taking and making those shots on the biggest stage. It wasn't a one-time fluke.
Played with Shaq.
But that's my point. Because Shaq was there, we didn't believe it. We did not believe it. We had to see it over and over and over again. And then Shaq left, and you kept making those shots. And then we were like, okay, we can't question it.
But
So
that's what we're speeding it up.
Let me finish. So for you to assign that to Jalen Brunson when he has not won anything.
Bad comparison, because like I said, we're going to speed up that process here in New York City because that's
the problem. You speeding up processes, and that's what you've always done historically. You speed up and assign people greatness they don't deserve. That has always been your fault as Knicks fans. You consistently do that. Steve Novak was a GOAT to you. Jeremy Lin was a GOAT to you. Julius Randle was a GOAT to you. Tyson Chandler was a GOAT to you. David Robinson was a GOAT to you. Jamal Crawford was a GOAT to you. David Lee was a GOAT to you.
No. I mean, like, I'm not going to say go, but I remember one time, Paul, you did say Julius Randle was the next Carmelo Anthony on the team. I remember
everyone gets assigned greatness when they play well,
and then he chokes in the playoffs. Why you acting like this is the see? No. You know, Baltimore wants to act like this is just for Jalen Brunson's first good playoff run on the Knicks.
Did I say that?
No, but you're acting like it.
No, I'm not. I'm acting like it hasn't led to winning.
Over 3 years
acting
now.
like it hasn't led to winning. You have not won with it.
Is that his fault? No, it's not. We win. We are.
Time out. This is an important nuance. It being his fault is a very different question than should we ever question his shot selection. It don't have to be his fault for us to look at shot selection and have critique.
I'm going to be honest. All of this is pointless. And the reason why it's pointless, we're talking about Jalen Brunson's shot selection when the guy had 36 and 40. The problem,
and that's my problem with you.
No,
a guy is beyond reproach because he scores some points for you.
It's not beyond reproach. You can't look at the games and say we're losing because of Jalen Brunson.
That's not what I'm saying.
I'm telling you, you lost by 5. You lose by 5 because we have a bad defensive coaching scheme, and unless we address that, it's not going to change.
Bad rotations.
You can't win the game. There are multiple plays by random guys on the Pacers squad just getting wide open shots. There's no rotation. As a coach, that's your job. You are literally standing on the sidelines watching the game happen. And if you're saying nothing, you are a bad coach, and this is your fault.
So now it's coaching's fault, but when Tatum doesn't play the way he's supposed to play, it's his
fault. We're not talking about
Jalen Brunson is not the reason. No, that's a bad. What you make a lot of bad comparisons.
Is that correct? Is that correct?
A lot of bad comparisons.
Is that correct? No, I'm just asking a question. Is that correct?
Did I say that about Tatum? Did I say that about Tatum? Did I say that about Tatum?
I'm asking a question to the open forum. Is that correct?
And I'm asking you in response. Did I say that? Did I say that about Tatum?
No, but you're not on this podcast by yourself.
Great.
You're on this podcast by yourself. The same way I jump on your ass, I'm jumping on Paul's ass. Pause.
This is crazy.
Hypocrisy. For absolute hypocrisy. And that's why Alan's laughing. Because Alan sits back and he hears people say one thing for one situation and go the complete left opposite way for a different situation.
Oh, man.
This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous.
But like, to your point about the bad rotations, it's kind of becomes like it's Tibbs in a tough spot when you got Cat on your team. As much as I love Cat, like you kind of sacrificing something, no matter like where you put him and what you do with him.
Yes, like, but how long you're going to be sacrificing for, and that's the problem.
Huh?
It's how long you're going to be sacrificing for. 3, 4, 5.
It's not just that. It's not just that. Like sometimes you have to pick and choose what you're going to sacrifice, because sometimes you can have Cat out there with Mitchell, and that would help with the the pick and rolls and stuff like that. But then who else in the lineup are you taking out? You either taking out Hart or you taking out Mikal, I think, and you're sacrificing something else.
No, we're not sacrificing nothing. Hold on. Let me tell you what the Knicks should do. Let me tell you what Tom Thibodeau should be doing, right? We need more Deuce. We need more
Precious to chew up.
Hold on. We need more Deuce. We need more Mitch. We need less Hart. Hart is killing the offense. Less Hart, and we need less Cat. Cat is playing well.
365 days ago, I said Josh Hart was not a playoff starter, and y'all barked me off the pod. Barked me off this podcast. Josh Hart is not a playoff starter.
We in the conference finals, so you could say you proven wrong. Josh Hart.
But this series less of him now, right? But we need less of him now, right?
This series is not a Josh Hart series. The problem with Tim's the template coaching.
Right.
He's a starter, so therefore we're going to start him and playing
48 minutes for no reason.
He's giving up. He's giving up open looks. allowing Jalen Brunson to be doubled, right? He's running to the paint, trying to get boards because that's what he does. That's in his DNA. Giving up wide open layups on the transition because he's trying to get the board, but he's not getting it all the time, right? We got Mitch out there to get these boards.
6'4".
Yeah, he's 6, right? Mitchell Robinson is out there already, right? Why are you running to the paint trying to get the board, right? He needs to be, he's a good shooter that doesn't want to shoot the ball. Correct. So if you're not going to shoot the ball, I'm not trying to change no 10-year player. Put him on the bench, bring in Deuce.
You know who you sound like?
Put him on the bench, bring in Deuce. Let's get this scoring going. And Jalen Brunson, listen, so there are times within a game where sometimes we need defense instead of offense. So sometimes maybe for spurts, put him on the bench and bring in Deuce. And then let's see Mikal Bridges, who is on guard. Hold on. This is the last point.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Let Mikal Bridges carry the offense because Mikal Bridges has proven to be unguardable. And I said it. They have no wings. They are choosing to put Pascal on OG Anunoby. He's been neutralized.
It's kind of
Josh Hart
like they don't have a point guard who orchestrates certain guys to get the ball in their spots.
You said what?
It's kind of like they don't have a point guard to orchestrate to get the ball to the guys in their spots.
No, that's not what it is. That's not what it is.
A point guard who's more concerned with scoring 30.
That's not the issue. I said when
kind of like Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby only get accidental offense.
What do you mean accident? You can't just be
not accidental offense when we've seen them get purposeful offense.
Why are we acting like role players aren't role players? Like Indiana don't have role players too that only get looks off of other people. Everybody's not gonna eat, man.
Pharaoh, do you think Tibbs is calling plays for Mikal Bridges?
Of course not.
Exactly. So why are we getting away from my point?
That's part of the problem. He's your second best perimeter player, and you don't call no plays for him.
Because this is a
you don't call no plays for him.
Well, you got this, because the
man gets 28 off accident, and you don't think you should throw him the ball?
The rotations is the problem. We should listen. There are times when we should put in an offensive lineup, a defensive lineup, right? A big lineup, a short lineup. He don't care about none of that. He doesn't care about none of that. That's the issue, right? When we put in the bench unit, when we put in the bench unit, Mikal should be carrying the offense.
Correct.
Right? Right?
You don't say.
Hold on.
I wish I had I wish we needed to hire a producer who could just put a black and white clip of all the things I say in weeks past, right when y'all say that shit weeks later.
Okay, so here's the thing.
We've been talking about Tibbs being bad coaching. We talked about him not relying on the bench. We talked about him not going to Mikal Bridges. You're not alone. You're not saying these things like fucking Captain Obvious. Yeah, we know.
Question. You said you're not trying to change. Wait. To Andre's point. This is to Andre's point. So Paul just said he's not going to change Josh Hart, a 10-year player. Didn't Paul say that Draymond Green needed to change how he played for the Warriors to win?
I said yeah, because he changed already. He showed that he could do it. He was that for his first 3 years of his career. Not the same.
So Josh Hart don't gotta change, but Draymond gotta change. Who's won 4 chips?
Draymond changed already. He was that player. I'm asking him to go back to who he was.
Oh, good. I just wanted the record to be clear.
Was he not that player in the NBA already?
The champion 15-year veteran needs to change his game. But Josh Hart, the 10-year habitual role player, doesn't need to change.
When has Josh Hart been a catch and shoot money?
I'm just making the record clear, but they'll continue. I just want to.
Draymond was a catch and shoot money player, was he not?
Continue with your point. I'm just making the record clear. That's all.
Listen, all I'm saying is
I'm gonna point out the hypocrisy of that.
There's no hypocrisy. You're trolling. You're just trolling. You're not.
That may be true as well. The trolling sometimes has truth in it.
No. There's no truth in what you said. Because Draymond Green was a shooter at one point in his NBA career. So anyway, all I'm saying is
wrap it up though. We at 2:00.
Yeah. Tibbs, we should have started with this. But anyway, Tibbs is the issue. There's a championship roster within this team. There's a championship within this team.
There's that team within the team. There's that team within the team.
It is up to Tibbs to get it out of them. He showed He showed it throughout the Celtics series.
Oh, this guy's a troll, man. Okay, I
know.
Dead ass. We're trying to get him out of here. Get him out of here. We're trying to make real points.
Acting like that 20 minutes ago that y'all had this fantasy idea.
It's not a fantasy because he showed it against the Celtics.
And lo and behold, to finalize his point on the day, he talks about there's a team within this.
It's not a fantasy because he showed it to the Celtics. It's not a fantasy. He showed it against the Celtics. He showed the capacity to make adjustments when necessary. He showed it. So now it's time to bring it back into motion. We need the adjustments. We need the rotations to be changed. He put a Delon Wright game 1 for like 20 seconds. How about playing him 5 minutes? He's a good defender. He's a good guard defender. You know what I mean? Like, listen, it is what it is. And this is the last thing I'm going to say. I said it early. If we win the championship or lose the championship, it's going to be because of Tibbs.
Yes.
So Tibbs, do what you got to do. I don't got any issue with Jalen Brunson. I know you want me to say the shot select. I don't agree with that last shot.
Gordon's last 2 comments are incredibly poignant.
We don't got to bench Mikhail. No, that's wrong. You don't got to bench Mikhail. That's wrong.
And look at the next one. And you gotta bench your all-star center. You gotta bench your no defense point guard.
Not bench.
Not bench the whole game, but you gotta
see y'all are
just
for
sure.
No,
and that's what Pope said too.
That's real talk though. Like
it's not real talk. It's not bench.
All the guys you rely on are also your biggest problems.
It's not a perfect team.
Your greatest strengths are also your greatest weaknesses, and that's why you feel befuddled all the time.
No, that's not why we feel befuddled all the time. The problem is that he's not managing it properly. That's the problem. That's what we're trying to tell you, Pharaoh. But you don't want to listen. You just want to troll. Listen, this is the last I'm going to say. To all of you in public.
Is it overcomable?
Yes, it's overcomable.
I don't know.
We're going to find out in these next 2 games.
You're going to find out. I said Knicks in 6 for a reason, right? I didn't expect to go like this. But I said Knicks in 6. So
we didn't win 4 straight.
You're going to win 4 of the next 6 of the next. You're going to win. Yeah, you're going to win 4 of the next. Wait. Yeah, you got to win 4 straight. Are you dumb?
Yeah, 4 straight. Yeah.
Are you dumb?
We absolutely can.
No, if you want to go 6, you have to win 4 straight.
Yeah.
If you want to go 6, yes, 4 straight, yeah.
So you still standing on Knicks in 6?
Yes.
So if
we lose any,
hold on. Games. Wait, no, say it on record. Don't duck it. Say it on record so I can clip it well. When y'all lose game 4, say it into the camera. We're gonna win 4 straight games.
None of the next games in this series. We are winning the next 4 straight.
No, look your eyes into your computer.
I'm literally looking at the camera as I'm saying this. You are getting me tight.
Say it. I'm gonna clip it.
You better clip it when I'm
right.
You better clip it when I'm right.
Are winning.
One at a time, please. Clear. Okay. Paul, go.
The Knicks are winning 4 straight against the Indiana Pacers, and we're going to the finals.
Dre?
Can I go? The New York Knicks are winning the 2024-2025 NBA championship.
We're going viral. Catch y'all next week. Light it up.
Oh, man.
Keep that same energy when we win it, though.
He set the record for most threes made in a W game, by the way. New York basketball is up.
Yeah, the Knicks. Yeah.
We the Fastbreaks. Peace.
Light it up.
Come on. It's Fastbreaks. Listen. We back with another one. Fast breaks, yeah, we coming with the takes. Never early, never late, but we always push the pace, yeah. And we really study tape, y'all just view the highlights. Man, we really watching games, yeah. You just watch from the stands. We run 3-man weeks, Paul, Dre, and Allen, yeah. Way more than a fan. We got love for the game. We don't have to pretend. Got it out the mud like you get it off the glass. I'm the run the fast break. Throw me the outlet. Yeah, we got it out the mud like you get it off the glass. Time to run the fast break. Throw me the outlet.